Kira Bennett walked toward Tyler Ashford with 8 weeks of swallowed rage in her eyes. He just humiliated her in front of everyone, like a highlight reel for rich kids' entertainment. In one way or the other, we've all watched the entitled get away with cruelty. Seen bullies face zero consequences while their victims suffer in silence. This is the story of Kira Bennett, the girl who kept a sacred promise for 8 weeks of hell, and Tyler Ashford, the boy who learned too late that some people you dismiss today might just be the ones who save your life tomorrow. This is the story about the night everything broke. And somehow, in the wreckage, something impossible began. Welcome, my beautiful family. If you are enjoying this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video and comment where you are watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. And trust me, you won't want to miss them. Now, let's go back weeks away, where the story really began. Kira Bennett stood at the entrance of Ashford Preparatory Academy, her duffel bag cutting into her shoulder. The campus stretched before her, brick buildings older than Jamaica's independence, manicured lawns so green they looked painted, students moving in clusters like schools of fish who'd never known a predator. She'd walked through worse. Kingston gyms where grown men tried to break her in sparring. Streets where catcalls followed her home. Her father's funeral last year where she had to stand straight while her world collapsed. This was just another ring. You must be our new scholarship student. A woman approached, heels clicking on stone. White hair pulled tight, navy suit sharper than any blade. I'm Dean Whitmore. Welcome to Ashford. The word scholarship landed like a brand. Kira heard it in the way the dean's mouth shaped the syllables. Heard it in how passing students glanced over, calculated, dismissed. Thank you, ma'am. Your orientation packet is in the administrative office. Classes begin at 8:15 sharp. We have high standards here, Miss Bennett. I trust you'll work hard to meet them. Unlike the charity cases before you, the unspoken words hung between them. Kira nodded, kept her face smooth. Her father's voice echoed from memory. Smart fighters know when to slip the punch, baby girl. Save your strength for the bell. She missed him so much her chest ached. The dean walked away. Kira adjusted her bag and moved toward the main building. Her sneakers, clean but old, bought at a Kingston market 2 years ago, squeaked against the courtyard stone. Around her, girls wore boots that cost more than her mother's monthly rent. Boys carried backpacks with designer labels Kira only knew from airport advertisements. She'd known it would be like this. The scholarship letter had warned her, elite institution, prestigious history, excellent opportunity. What it hadn't mentioned was how the air itself would feel expensive. How she'd be able to taste the difference between their world and hers. A group of girls passed, laughing at something on a phone. One glanced at Kira, took in her thrift store jacket and natural hair twisted back with a simple band, and whispered something that made the others giggle. Kira's hands formed fists in her pockets. No fighting unless absolutely necessary. Her father had made her promise before she accepted the scholarship. Before the lawyer read the will and they discovered he'd saved just enough for this. One chance to leave Kingston, get an American education, build a different life than the one that had broken his body by 43. You're better than I was, Key, he'd said in the hospital, 3 days before the end. Lung cancer from the factory job he'd worked between training sessions. Faster, smarter, got a killer right hook. But you're also smart up here. He'd tapped her temple with a finger that trembled. Promise me you'll use this chance. Don't let them bait you into throwing it away. She'd promised. She'd kept that promise through the funeral, through packing her life into 2 suitcases, through the tearful goodbye at Kingston Airport when her mother held her so tight Kira could barely breathe. She could keep it through some rich kids with expensive prejudices. The administrative office smelled like paper and perfume. A secretary handed her a folder thick with maps, rules, course schedules. Kira memorized the layout while walking to her first class. Honors English with Mr. Brennan, room 204, West Building. She found it with 2 minutes to spare. The classroom fell quiet when she entered. 20 faces turned toward her, evaluated, categorized. The teacher looked up from his desk. Ah, you must be Kira Bennett. Welcome. Take any open seat. Only 3 remained. 2 in the back corners, one in the middle beside a blonde girl who had her bag on the empty chair. Kira walked toward the middle seat. "Excuse me." The blonde girl looked up. Blue eyes traveled from Kira's face to her sneakers and back, slow as honey. "Oh, sorry. My friend's sitting there." "There's no one." "She's coming. Try the back." The classroom watched. Mr. Brennan cleared his throat but said nothing. Kira walked to the back corner, sat down, opened her notebook. Her hands didn't shake. That was good. Her father had taught her that too, how to keep your body quiet when your blood screamed for violence. The class began. Kira took notes on The Great Gatsby, on American dreams and green lights and people who destroyed themselves reaching for things they couldn't have. The irony wasn't lost on her. At lunch, she found Maya Collins. Maya was easy to spot, the only other black girl in the senior class, sitting alone in the cafeteria corner, reading a book with her sandwich untouched. She looked up when Kira approached, eyes wary. "Mind if I sit?" "Free country." Maya closed her book. "You're the new girl. From Jamaica." "Kingston." "Maya." "Boston. Been here since sophomore year on scholarship." She said the word flatly, like a diagnosis. Fair warning, it doesn't get easier. They just get better at being subtle. Kira sat down. Around them, the cafeteria hummed with privilege. Conversations about spring break in Aspen, summer homes in the Hamptons, college acceptances to schools that cost $70,000 a year. "How do you stand it?" Kira asked. Maya shrugged. "Remember why I'm here. Graduate, get into a good college, get out. 2 more months." She paused. "Also, noise-canceling headphones. And the rage that fuels democracy." Kira almost smiled. "Word of advice." Maya leaned forward. "Stay away from Tyler Ashford. That's him, 3 o'clock, holding court like Jesus at the Last Supper." Kira looked. He sat at the center table, surrounded by worshippers. Tall, blonde, built like someone who'd never missed a meal or worked a day that left calluses. He wore his uniform, white shirt, navy blazer, khakis, like it was custom-made. Probably was. His smile was wide and empty as a magazine advertisement. While Kira watched, he said something that made his whole table explode with laughter. A girl with dark hair touched his arm, leaning in close. He barely acknowledged her, too busy soaking in the attention. "Tyler Ashford," Maya continued. "Millionaire daddy, legacy admission, thinks his last name makes him king. Goes through girls like tissues. Cruel when bored, which is always." She bit into her sandwich. "He'll notice you eventually. New girl, pretty, don't worship him on sight. You're exactly his type. A challenge. I can handle entitled boys. Not like him." Maya's voice went serious. "I've seen him destroy girls for fun. Reputation, social life, mental health. Last year, a junior rejected him. He started rumors she was sleeping with teachers for grades. She transferred out by December, broken. And nobody stopped him? His father donates a new library wing every time Tyler gets in trouble. Money's louder than justice here." Maya looked at her. "Just stay off his radar. Graduate. Get out." Kira nodded. But across the cafeteria, Tyler Ashford glanced up, and for one brief second, his eyes met hers. He smiled. She looked away. Meanwhile, at the center table, Tyler Ashford was bored. Lacey Park was talking about prom dresses, her hand still on his arm like she had a right to it. They'd dated for 3 months last year, long enough for him to get what he wanted, short enough to avoid actual commitment. She kept hoping they'd get back together. He kept letting her hope because it was easier than direct rejection. "What do you think, Ty? The emerald green or the silver?" "Whatever you want, Lace." She pouted. He didn't care. Trevor Grant was describing some party this weekend. Kegs, someone's empty mansion, the usual. Tyler would probably go. Probably get drunk. Probably hook up with whoever made the least effort to play hard to get. God, he was tired of easy. Everything was easy. Classes he passed without studying because teachers loved the Ashford name. Girls who said yes before he finished asking. Friends who laughed at his jokes whether they were funny or not. His father had bought him a future before Tyler learned to walk. Ashford Preparatory to Yale to the family real estate empire, each step paved with money and inevitability. Sometimes Tyler wanted to scream just to hear what it sounded like. "Dude, you seeing this?" Trevor elbowed him. Tyler looked up. A girl walked across the cafeteria. New face, dark skin, natural hair twisted back, posture like a soldier. She wore the uniform badly, like it didn't fit right, like she was wearing borrowed clothes. Scholarship student. Probably. They got a few every year, charity cases who made the school look diverse in brochures. She sat down with Maya Collins, the other scholarship girl. They talked quietly, heads bent together, separate from the cafeteria's ecosystem. The new girl glanced over, caught Tyler staring, held his gaze for exactly 2 seconds, then looked away. Not looked away like she was shy. Looked away like he wasn't worth her time. Something flickered in Tyler's chest. Interest, maybe. Or irritation. Hard to tell the difference anymore. "Fresh meat," Trevor said, grinning. $10 says she's throwing herself at you by Friday. 20 says by Wednesday, Lacey added, jealousy sharpening her voice. Tyler smiled, the one that usually melted resistance like butter. "I'll take that bet." But he was still watching the new girl, watching how she sat, relaxed but ready, like she was used to guarding herself. Watching how she didn't glance back at him, didn't check if he was still looking. Every girl checked. Why wasn't she checking? The bell rang. Students scattered toward afternoon classes. Tyler grabbed his bag, already planning his approach. Nothing complicated, just introduce himself, turn on the charm, watch her melt like the others. Easy. Everything was always easy. He passed her in the hallway between third and fourth period. She was studying a campus map, slightly lost. Perfect. Need help finding something? Tyler stepped into her path, offering his best smile. She looked up. Gold brown eyes, sharp as glass. "I'm fine. I'm Tyler. Tyler Ashford. You're new, right? Kira Bennett." She stepped around him. He moved with her, blocking her path smoothly. "Let me guess. You're looking for room 310? Chemistry with Dr. Peterson? It's tricky to find. I could walk you. I'll manage." Her voice was polite. Final. "Come on, I'm just being friendly. New students need guides." "I don't need a guide. Excuse me." She walked past him, shoulders straight, not looking back. Tyler stood in the hallway, watching her go, smile frozen on his face. Behind him, Trevor laughed. "Looks like you're out $20, man." But Tyler wasn't thinking about the money. He was thinking about how she'd looked at him, or rather, how she hadn't. Like he was just another obstacle in the hallway. Like his name meant nothing. Like he was nobody. The feeling in his chest sharpened. Definitely not interest. Definitely irritation. The afternoon crawled by. Tyler sat through advanced calculus without hearing a word, through history without taking notes. His mind kept circling back to those gold-brown eyes, that flat dismissal, the way she'd stepped around him like he was furniture. By the time the final bell rang, he'd made a decision. Kira Bennett would be different from the others. Not because she was, they all thought they were special, but because he'd enjoy breaking down her resistance a little more than usual. There was satisfaction in a challenge. Entertainment in the hunt. He'd give her a week. Maybe 2 if she was stubborn. Then she'd be just like all the rest. Eager, available, ultimately disappointing. Tyler grabbed his keys and headed to the parking lot, where his BMW waited in the spot marked Reserved, T. Ashford. Everything was still easy. He just had to remind her of that. Kira found chemistry without Tyler Ashford's help. She found her locker, her afternoon classes, the route to the library. She navigated the privileged maze of Ashford Preparatory the same way she'd navigated Kingston's toughest neighborhoods. Head up, eyes forward, aware of every exit. After school, she took the bus to her host family's house, a small colonial in a quiet Greenwich neighborhood, rented by the Scholarship Foundation. Mrs. Peterson, her host mother, was kind but busy, a divorced accountant who'd agreed to house a scholarship student for the stipend and tax break. She worked late most nights. Kira had the space to herself. She dropped her bag in the small bedroom, plain walls, single bed, desk lamp, and changed into workout clothes. Found the address Maya had texted her during lunch. Anderson's boxing gym, 30 minutes on 2 buses, tucked between a laundromat and a tax office in a neighborhood where the houses got smaller and the paint peeled. The gym smelled right. Leather, sweat, determination. Kira paid for a day pass with crumpled bills saved from her last Kingston match. New around here? The man behind the desk was 50-something, white, scarred eyebrow, former fighter written in every line of his face. Just moved. Needed a place to train. You box. He looked skeptical. Kira met his eyes. Yes. Something in her tone made him reconsider. Bags are in the back. Gloves on the wall. You break something, you pay for it. Yes, sir. She wrapped her hands the way her father taught her, tight around the knuckles, protected but flexible. Slipped on worn gloves that smelled like 100 other fighters' sweat. Approached the heavy bag. And then she let go. Every punch carried a name. The dean's condescension. The blonde girl's dismissal. Tyler Ashford's entitled smile. The weight of being watched, judged, catalogued, dismissed. The grief she'd swallowed for a year, the anger she couldn't afford to show, the loneliness of being the only version of herself in a room full of people who'd never understand. She hit until her shoulders burned. Until sweat soaked through her shirt. Until the world narrowed to breath and impact. The clean simplicity of violence directed at something that couldn't be damaged. Jesus Christ. Kira stopped, chest heaving. The man from the desk stood watching, arms crossed. How long you been boxing? Since I was 8. My father trained me. Your father know what he was doing? He was amateur champion in Jamaica. Middleweight. 3 years running. The man's expression shifted. Anderson. I own this place. Kira Bennett. You need a coach while you're here, Bennett. She looked at the bag, at her wrapped hands, at the only place in Connecticut that felt like home. Yes, sir. I think I do. Anderson nodded. Tuesdays and Thursdays. 6 p.m. Don't be late. Kira smiled for the first time all day. She rode the bus back as the March sun set, painting Greenwich gold and orange. Through the windows, she watched the neighborhood shift. Small houses giving way to mansions, chain stores becoming boutiques. 2 worlds, 1 town, invisible line between them. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. How was first day, baby? Call when you can. Love you. Kira typed back. Good. Classes are fine. Miss you. Love you too. She didn't mention the blonde girl or the cafeteria whispers or Tyler Ashford's smile. Didn't mention how her hands still ached from hitting the bag, how her father's absence was a wound that wouldn't close. Her mother had sacrificed enough. Kira wouldn't burden her with complaints about rich kids playing games. Back at the house, she made instant noodles for dinner, studied until midnight, and fell asleep with her calculus textbook open on her chest. She dreamed of the ring, the canvas under her feet, her father's voice calling combinations, the perfect moment when her fist connected and everything made sense. She woke to Connecticut morning light and remembered where she was. 2 worlds. Invisible line. And Tyler Ashford waiting on the other side, smiling like he'd already won. 1 week later, Tyler Ashford had a system. First, he'd establish presence. Sit near the target in class, appear in her peripheral vision enough times that she'd start expecting him. Second, he'd manufacture opportunities for casual interaction. Borrow a pencil, ask about homework, create the illusion of natural connection. Third, he'd deploy charm at maximum intensity until resistance crumbled. The system had never failed. Kira Bennett was taking longer than expected. He'd positioned himself 2 seats behind her in English for 3 days straight. She hadn't turned around once. He'd asked to borrow a calculator in calculus. She'd handed it over without meeting his eyes, taken it back the same way. He'd complimented her essay analysis during class discussion. She'd nodded once and returned to her notes. It was like trying to get a reaction from a stone wall. Maybe she's just not interested, bro, Trevor said at lunch on Wednesday. Some girls have boyfriends. Nobody has boyfriends. Tyler bit into his sandwich harder than necessary. She's playing hard to get. They all do eventually. For a week straight? That's commitment. Lacey leaned across the table, her voice sugar-sweet and poisonous. Maybe she doesn't know who you are. Scholarship students don't exactly run in our circles. Tyler's jaw tightened. That was the problem, wasn't it? Kira Bennett walked through Ashford Preparatory like she existed in a separate dimension. She ate lunch with Maya Collins, studied alone in the library, disappeared after school to God knew where. She didn't attend parties, didn't follow the social media accounts that mattered, didn't seem to care about the invisible hierarchies that governed everyone else's lives. She didn't care about him. The realization sat in his stomach like spoiled food. Thursday morning, Tyler decided to escalate. He waited outside her first period classroom, leaning against the wall with calculated casualness. When Kira appeared, walking with that same military posture, he pushed off and fell into step beside her. "Hey, Kira. Got a minute?" She kept walking. "I have class." "So do I. We're going the same direction." He flashed the smile that usually melted resistance. "I wanted to apologize if I came on too strong last week. Sometimes I don't realize how intense I can be." "It's fine. I was thinking, since you're new, maybe I could show you around Greenwich this weekend? There's this great coffee place downtown, and the harbor's nice when the weather's good. Just as friends." "I'm busy." "Sunday then? Or next weekend?" "I'm busy most weekends." They reached her classroom door. She stopped, finally looked at him directly. Those gold-brown eyes held no warmth, no interest, nothing but patience wearing thin. "Tyler, I appreciate the offer. But I'm not interested in hanging out. I'm here for school. That's all. Come on, everyone needs friends. You can't just study all the time." "I have friends. Maya Collins." He didn't hide his skepticism. "She's kind of a loner herself. You should branch out, meet people who actually matter here." Something flickered in Kira's expression. Cold fire, there and gone in a heartbeat. "People who matter," she repeated softly. "You mean people with money." "I mean people who've been here longer than a week. People who know how things work." "I know how things work." She adjusted her bag. "Thank you for your concern about my social life. I'll manage." She walked into the classroom. Tyler stood in the hallway, smile still frozen on his face, aware that 3 other students had watched the entire exchange. That afternoon, he tried a different approach. He bought flowers from the expensive shop downtown. Not roses, those were too obvious. Tulips, yellow and cheerful, wrapped in expensive paper. He had them delivered to Kira during lunch period with a card, "For a fresh start. Tyler." The delivery girl found Kira in the cafeteria. The entire room watched as she accepted the bouquet, read the card, and walked directly to the trash can. She threw the flowers away. Then she returned to her lunch like nothing had happened. Trevor whistled low. "That's brutal, man." Lacey laughed behind her hand. "Oh my God, she actually threw them out. In front of everyone." Tyler felt heat crawl up his neck. Around him, phones appeared. Students filming, texting, posting. By the end of lunch period, the video would be everywhere. Tyler Ashford, rejected. Tyler Ashford, humiliated. Tyler Ashford, trash-canned. "She doesn't know what she just did," he said quietly. "Let it go," Trevor advised. "Plenty of other girls." But Tyler wasn't listening. He was watching Kira Bennett calmly eat her sandwich, unbothered by the attention, untouched by the social suicide she just committed. She'd declared war. She just didn't know it yet. Friday, he waited for her after school. The parking lot was emptying, students scattering toward expensive cars and weekend plans. Kira walked toward the bus stop at the edge of campus, alone as always. Tyler intercepted her halfway there. "We need to talk." "No, we don't." She tried to step around him. He moved to block her path. You embarrassed me yesterday. You embarrassed yourself. Her voice stayed level. I didn't ask for flowers. I didn't ask for any of this. I was trying to be nice. You were trying to pressure me into something I've already said no to. That's not nice. That's entitled. The word landed like a slap. Tyler felt his control slipping, felt the careful mask he always wore starting to crack. Entitled? I'm entitled. His voice rose. I've been nothing but friendly. I offered to help you, to show you around, to include you in things. And you've treated me like I'm some kind of predator. If the shoe fits. What's that supposed to mean? Kira looked at him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was tired. Tyler, I know exactly what you are. I've met 100 versions of you. Boys who think being friendly means I owe them something. Boys who can't hear the word no. Boys who get mean when they don't get their way. She paused. This conversation, this right here, this is you getting mean. I'm not mean. I'm confused why you think you're too good for me. I don't think I'm too good for you. I think I'm not interested. Those are different things. Everyone's interested. That's how this works. Not everyone. Not me. She walked past him. This time, Tyler grabbed her arm. Not hard. Not violent. Just enough to stop her, to make her face him, to reassert some kind of control over a situation spiraling beyond his understanding. Kira looked down at his hand on her arm. When she looked back up, something had shifted in her eyes. Something dangerous. Let go. Her voice was so quiet he almost didn't hear it. But the tone carried weight like a hammer. Every muscle in her body had gone still, coiled, ready. Tyler let go. Stepped back. Suddenly aware he'd crossed a line he hadn't known existed. Kira adjusted her sleeve where he'd touched her. Don't ever put your hands on me again. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I just wanted you to listen. I've been listening. I've heard you every single time. The problem isn't my hearing. It's your understanding. She took a breath. I came to Ashford to get an education. To honor a promise I made to someone who sacrificed everything so I could be here. I don't have time for games or drama, or boys who think charm is a substitute for respect. This isn't a game. Then what is it? Why does my rejection matter so much? There are 50 girls at this school who would say yes to you in a heartbeat. Go ask one of them. Because you're different. I'm not different. I just have boundaries. You're not even giving me a chance. I don't owe you a chance. Her patience finally broke. Listen to yourself. You've decided that you want something, so that means you deserve it. You've decided I'm different, so that makes me yours to pursue. You've decided my no doesn't count because in your world, no is just an opening negotiation. Tyler opened his mouth. Closed it. Nothing he said would sound right because she'd pinned him exactly. I don't fit into your world, Kira continued. I don't want to. So please, Tyler Ashford, leave me alone. Find someone who wants what you're offering. It's not me. It will never be me. She walked away. This time, Tyler let her go. He stood in the parking lot as the March wind picked up, carrying the smell of expensive lawns and old money. Around him, Ashford Preparatory gleamed in the afternoon sun, every brick and gate a reminder of who he was supposed to be. His phone buzzed. Text from his father. Dinner tonight. 7 sharp. Don't be late. Tyler got into his BMW. Sat in the leather seat his father had paid for, in the car his father had bought, on the campus his family name opened doors for. Everything in his life had been easy because his father made it easy. Everything came to him because the Ashford name demanded it. Except Kira Bennett. She didn't care about his name. Didn't care about his money. Didn't care about anything he'd built his entire identity around. And that made her dangerous. Tyler started the car and drove home, past the gates, through Greenwich's winding streets where every house cost millions and every family had histories longer than the country itself. He pulled into the circular driveway of the Ashford estate, all stone and glass and architectural statements about wealth. His father's Mercedes was already there, which meant dinner would be an interrogation about grades, about Yale applications, about maintaining the family reputation. Inside, the house echoed. His mother had left years ago, traded Connecticut winters for a condo in Miami and a pharmaceutical sales rep named Derek. Tyler didn't blame her. Living with Raymond Ashford was like living inside a calculator, every interaction measured for profit and loss. "You're early," his father said from the study, not looking up from his laptop. "Surprising. Traffic was light. Sit down. We need to discuss your midterm reports." Tyler sat in the leather chair across from his father's desk. Raymond Ashford was 52, graying at the temples, built like someone who paid other people to exercise for him. He wore suits on weekends and measured success in square footage. "Your grades are acceptable," Raymond began. "Not exceptional, but acceptable. Yale admissions called me yesterday. Your legacy status guarantees admission, but they'd appreciate seeing more community involvement. Volunteer work, charity events, leadership positions. I'm already on student council. Purchased by my donation. I'm talking about optics, Tyler. The Ashford name carries weight, but we still need to perform respectability." He finally looked up. "I heard something interesting today. Something about you harassing a scholarship student." Tyler's stomach dropped. "Who told you that?" Dean Whitmore called. "Apparently, there's video circulating of flowers being thrown away, confrontations in parking lots. She wanted to give me a courtesy warning before it became a problem." "It's not harassment. I asked her out. She said no. That's all." "That's not all, according to social media. You've been persistent to the point of aggression." Raymond leaned back. "Let me be clear. I don't care who you date or don't date. I don't care about some scholarship girl's feelings. But I care very much about our family's reputation and your chances at Yale. Nothing happened. I didn't do anything wrong. Perception matters more than truth. If this escalates, if she files a complaint, if this becomes a scandal, it affects me. It affects our business. Do you understand?" "Yes." "So drop it. Find some other girl to chase. Preferably someone whose family won't sue us." Raymond returned to his laptop. "Dinner's at 7. Don't be late." Dismissed, Tyler went upstairs to his room. Spacious, expensive, empty. He lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling, his father's words echoing. "Drop it. Find some other girl." He should. He knew he should. But knowing didn't change the bitter taste in his mouth. Didn't change how Kira's rejection had exposed something rotten in him, something he'd never had to face before. His entire life, Tyler had gotten what he wanted. Not because he earned it, but because the world was built to give him things. Money opened doors. His name cleared paths. Obstacles disappeared before he reached them. Kira Bennett wasn't an obstacle. She was a mirror. And Tyler hated what he saw reflected there. His phone lit up with messages. Trevor asking about weekend plans. Lacey asking if he was okay. 3 other girls from school sending variations of, "Heard what happened. That girl's crazy. You deserve better." He ignored them all. Outside his window, the sun set over Greenwich. Expensive houses glowed warm in the twilight. Somewhere in this town, in a smaller house on a quieter street, Kira Bennett was probably studying or talking to her mother or doing whatever scholarship students did when they weren't rejecting millionaire heirs. She wasn't thinking about him. That was the worst part. He obsessed while she dismissed. He burned while she remained untouched. Tyler made a decision. If Kira Bennett wanted to be left alone, fine. He'd leave her alone. But she'd regret making him look like a fool. She'd regret those cameras, that video, the laughter that followed him through hallways now. He wouldn't chase her anymore. He'd just make sure she understood her place in the Ashford preparatory hierarchy. And her place was at the bottom, looking up at people who mattered. People like him. Downstairs, a bell chimed for dinner. Tyler went down to face his father's cold assessment and his own colder thoughts. already planning the subtle ways to remind Kira Bennett that rejection had consequences. Already forgetting the look in her eyes when he'd grabbed her arm. The warning that he'd been too arrogant to hear. Already making the mistake that would cost him everything. 2 weeks in, the exclusion started small. Kira noticed it first in English class. Mr. Brennan assigned group work, analyzing themes in The Great Gatsby. Students paired off naturally, the way they always did, following invisible social lines. Kira turned to the girl beside her, a quiet brunette named Charlotte who'd been civil enough before. Want to work together? Charlotte glanced past Kira toward the back of the room where Tyler sat with Trevor. Something unspoken passed between them. Charlotte looked back at Kira with apologetic eyes. Sorry, I already have a partner. She didn't. But she grabbed her books and moved to join a group across the room, leaving Kira alone at her desk. Mr. Brennan noticed. Kira, you can join Charlotte's group. We're full, Charlotte said quickly. 4 people is too many. There were 3 of them. Then join Marcus and Bethany, Mr. Brennan suggested, pointing to another pair. Marcus, a soccer player who'd been friendly during the first week, suddenly found his notebook fascinating. We're actually good with just us 2. We work better in small groups. The classroom had gone quiet. Everyone watching, everyone understanding what was happening except Mr. Brennan, who clearly didn't want to deal with teenage politics before his morning coffee. Fine. Kira, you'll work independently and present your analysis on Friday. Kira nodded, opened her book, kept her face blank while 20 pairs of eyes burned into her back. At lunch, Maya slid her tray down hard enough to rattle both their drinks. Let me guess. Group project disaster. How'd you know? Because it's starting. Tyler's campaign. Maya stabbed her salad with unnecessary violence. He's not chasing you anymore, right? No more flowers, no more hallway ambushes. He's been avoiding me completely. That's worse. When entitled boys can't have something, they destroy it instead. Watch. By the end of the week, you'll be a ghost here. Kira looked around the cafeteria. Students at nearby tables glanced at her, then away. Conversations dropped to whispers when she passed. Girls she'd exchanged polite hellos with for 3 weeks suddenly had urgent business elsewhere. What do I do? Survive. Graduate. Don't give them ammunition. Maya leaned forward. And whatever you do, don't react. That's what he wants. Stay boring, stay invisible, and eventually he'll get bored and move on to the next target. Stay invisible. Kira had been invisible her whole life. Invisible in Kingston classrooms where teachers assumed poverty meant stupid. Invisible in gyms where men dismissed her until she put them on their backs. Invisible on buses, in stores, in every space where her skin marked her as less than. She was tired of being invisible. But her father's voice echoed, "Smart fighters know when to slip the punch, baby girl." So she slipped. Over the next week, the exclusion tightened like a noose. In chemistry, her lab partner suddenly requested a switch, citing incompatible work styles. In history, when Kira raised her hand to answer a question, Tyler coughed loudly, and the teacher called on someone else. In the hallways, students moved around her like she carried disease. Someone started a rumor that she'd gotten her scholarship through affirmative action rather than merit, that Ashford had lowered standards to meet diversity quotas. Kira heard it whispered in bathroom stalls, saw it in anonymous comments on class social media pages. Another rumor claimed she'd lied about her father being a boxing champion, that her whole background was fabricated for sympathy points. A third suggested she was only at Ashford to seduce rich boys and trap them with pregnancy. The rumors were stupid, transparent, cruel in their predictability. But they worked. Students who'd been neutral toward her now looked at her with suspicion or pity or contempt. Tyler never said her name, never acknowledged her existence. But his presence was in every cold shoulder, every whispered lie, every door that closed in her face. On Thursday afternoon, Kira walked past his table during lunch. He was holding court as usual, Lacey draped over his shoulder, Trevor laughing at something on his phone. Tyler's eyes tracked Kira across the cafeteria, just for a second, and she saw satisfaction there. He was enjoying this. Her hands curled into fists. Her breathing went shallow. Every instinct she'd honed in the ring screamed at her to turn around, walk back to that table, and introduce Tyler Ashford's face to her right hook. No fighting unless absolutely necessary. She kept walking. Found Maya. Sat down with her back to Tyler's table and ate lunch that tasted like ash. "You okay?" Maya asked. "I'm fine. You look like you want to kill someone." "I'm fine," Kira repeated. That night at Anderson's gym, she took it out on the heavy bag. Coach Anderson watched her work, arms crossed, face unreadable. After 30 minutes of sustained violence against leather and chain, he called time. "What's eating you, Bennett?" "Nothing." "That's a lie. You're fighting angry. Angry fighters make mistakes." Kira unwrapped her hands, knuckles red and swollen. "There's a boy at school. Rich kid. Entitled. He's making my life difficult because I rejected him." "Making it difficult how?" "Rumors. Social exclusion. Turning everyone against me. And you want to hit him." "It wasn't a question." Kira nodded. Anderson was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "My daughter went to private school on scholarship. Full ride, top grades, worked her ass off. There was a boy there too. Rich family, thought he owned the place. Started in on her when she wouldn't date him. Made her life hell for 6 months. What happened? She transferred. Couldn't take it anymore. Lost the scholarship, ended up at public school, still graduated top of her class. But it broke something in her. Confidence, maybe. Trust. Took years to get it back." Anderson met Kira's eyes. "I'm telling you this because I know what you're thinking. You're thinking if you hit him once, hard enough, he'll stop. He'll learn. Everyone will see you're not someone to mess with. Would that be wrong? No. But it would be stupid. You hit him, you lose everything. Scholarship gone, school gone, promise to your father gone. He walks away with a bruise. You walk away with nothing." Anderson handed her a water bottle. "Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is not fight. Even when you want to. Even when they deserve it." Kira drank. Her hands still shook. "How long do I have to keep not fighting?" "Until you graduate. Until you're somewhere they can't touch you. Then you live a good life, and that's the best revenge." It was the right advice. Kira knew it was the right advice. It still felt like swallowing glass. She rode the bus home as April rain started to fall, turning Greenwich streets dark and slick. Through the windows, she watched expensive houses glow warm against the storm. Families having dinner together, safe in their bubbles of privilege. Tyler Ashford was probably in one of those houses right now, eating food he didn't cook, living a life he didn't earn, planning new ways to make her suffer for the crime of saying no. At her host house, Mrs. Peterson was working late again. Kira made instant ramen, tried to study, gave up after reading the same paragraph 6 times. Her phone rang. Her mother, calling from Kingston where it was already late evening. "Hey, baby. How's everything?" Kira almost told the truth. Almost explained about Tyler, about the rumors, about feeling like she was drowning in a sea of expensive cruelty. Almost asked to come home. But her mother's voice carried exhaustion from double nursing shifts. Carried sacrifice. Carried the weight of a dead husband and a daughter overseas and bills that never stopped coming. "Everything's good, Mom. Classes are going well. You sound tired. Just studying. Big test tomorrow. Don't push yourself too hard. Remember to eat, sleep, take care of yourself." "I will. I promise. Your father would be so proud of you, Key. You know that." The words hit like a punch to the solar plexus. Kira closed her eyes against sudden tears. "Yeah, I know." They talked for 10 more minutes about nothing important. Her mother's patients, her aunt's arthritis, neighborhood gossip from Kingston that felt like news from another planet. When they hung up, Kira sat in the quiet house and let herself cry for exactly 5 minutes. Then she washed her face, opened her textbook, and studied until midnight. Friday brought a new humiliation. Someone had printed photos of Kira from her social media, found pictures from boxing matches in Kingston, and plastered them around school with captions: violent scholarship student, affirmative action aggression, dangerous diversity hire. The photos showed her mid-fight, face intense, fist connecting with an opponent's jaw. Out of context, they looked brutal, scary. The narrative was clear. Kira Bennett was dangerous, aggressive, didn't belong in civilized society. Dean Whitmore called her to the office during third period. "Miss Bennett, are you aware of these flyers?" "Yes, ma'am." "And these photos are of you? You're a boxer. Amateur boxer." "I competed in Kingston before transferring." Dean Whitmore studied the images with distaste. "This is concerning. Ashford Preparatory has a strict policy against violence. We pride ourselves on maintaining a safe, peaceful learning environment. I've never been violent at school. Those are from sanctioned matches, regulated by official boxing organizations. Nevertheless, the imagery is disturbing. It sends a message inconsistent with our values." Kira felt something cold settle in her stomach. What message is that? That you're comfortable with physical aggression. That you solve problems with your fists rather than dialogue. "I've never hit anyone at this school. I've never threatened anyone. Someone took my photos without permission and used them to make me look dangerous." "Who would do that?" Kira almost laughed. "You really don't know?" Dean Whitmore's expression hardened. "If you're suggesting another student is behind this, you'll need proof. Accusations without evidence create hostile environments. The flyers themselves are creating a hostile environment. Which is why I've had them all removed. Consider this a warning, Miss Bennett. Keep your extracurricular activities private. Don't give students reason to feel unsafe around you. I'm the one who's unsafe. I'm the one being targeted." "That's a serious allegation. Do you have specific incidents to report? Names? Witnesses?" Kira thought about Tyler's careful campaign. The whispers, the exclusion, the rumors that spread like infection but never traced back to a source. How could she prove something designed to be invisible? "No," she said quietly. "I don't have proof." "Then I suggest you focus on your studies and avoid drama. You're here on scholarship, Miss Bennett. That's a privilege, not a right. Privileges can be revoked." Dean Whitmore smiled without warmth. "You're dismissed." Kira walked back to class in a daze. Students stared as she passed. Some looked scared now, thanks to the photos. Others looked satisfied, like they'd been proven right about her. In English, Mr. Brennan returned graded essays. Kira sat on her desk with a bright red C- and a note. "Interesting perspective, but unsupported claims and aggressive tone undermine your argument." It was the best essay she'd written all semester. She'd spent hours on it, cited every source, built her analysis carefully. 3 weeks ago, Mr. Brennan had praised her writing as insightful and mature. Now she was aggressive, unsupported, wrong. The grade wasn't about the essay. It was a message. At lunch, Kira didn't go to the cafeteria. She walked to the far edge of campus where old oak trees blocked the view of the main buildings. Sat on wet grass and ate her sandwich alone, rain from last night still dripping from branches overhead. Maya found her 15 minutes later. "They're saying you threatened Tyler in the parking lot. That's the new rumor." Kira didn't look up. "Of course they are. Someone claimed they saw you grab him, get in his face. Said you looked like you were going to attack him. He grabbed me. I told him to let go. That's what happened. I believe you. I'm just warning you what they're saying." Maya sat down beside her, not caring about the wet grass. "This is bad, Kira. The photos, the rumors, now the violence angle. He's building a narrative that makes you look dangerous and him look like a victim." "I know. If he pushes this further, if he goes to the administration with enough fake witnesses, you could lose your scholarship." "I know. So what are you going to do?" Kira looked at her hands. Boxer's hands, scarred and strong, capable of so much damage she'd spent years learning to control. Her father's hands, passed down through genetics and training. Smart fighters know when to slip the punch. But her father had never told her what to do when the punches came from all sides. When slipping meant standing still while your opponent beat you down. When the smart move felt like dying slowly. "I'm going to survive," Kira said finally. "I'm going to graduate. And then I'm going to leave this place and never think about Tyler Ashford again." Maya nodded. 2 months. 8 weeks. "You can do this." 8 weeks, Kira repeated. Felt like a lifetime. That night, alone in her room, Kira pulled out the photo she kept in her desk drawer. Her father in his prime, 25 years old, standing in a Kingston ring with his championship belt, grinning like he'd conquered the world. On the back, in his handwriting, Key. Being strong means knowing when to fight and when to walk away. "I love you, Dad." She'd read it 100 times since he died. Tonight, she focused on the second sentence. Knowing when to fight and when to walk away. She'd been walking away for weeks. Slipping punches, taking hits, staying quiet while Tyler Ashford tried to destroy her piece by piece. Maybe that was strength. Maybe that was honoring his memory. Or maybe strength had different forms. Maybe sometimes walking away was surrender, not strategy. Kira put the photo back in the drawer. Closed her eyes. Made herself breathe slowly, the way her father taught her before matches. 8 weeks until graduation. 8 weeks of invisible warfare. 8 weeks of swallowing rage that burned like acid in her throat. She could survive 8 weeks. She had to survive 8 weeks. Because the alternative was losing everything her father had died to give her. And that was a fight she absolutely could not afford to lose. Mr. Brennan announced the project during third period English. The week after spring break had given Kira 7 days of breathing room away from Ashford Preparatory's poison atmosphere. You'll be working in assigned pairs on a comparative analysis of social class and the American dream across 2 texts. 20% of your final grade. Due May 10th. I've already made the partnerships based on complementary skill sets. Kira felt dread settle in her stomach before he even spoke her name. Kira Bennett and Tyler Ashford. You'll be comparing The Great Gatsby with a raisin in the sun. The classroom went silent. Then whispers erupted like wildfire. Kira raised her hand. "Mr. Brennan, could I work alone? I don't mind doing twice the work. The assignment requires collaboration and peer review. No exceptions. Then could I switch partners? I'm sure someone else would prefer to work with Tyler." Mr. Brennan looked at her over his reading glasses, sympathy and exhaustion warring in his expression. He knew what was happening between her and Tyler. Every teacher knew. They just didn't want to deal with it. "The partnerships are final, Miss Bennett. You're both intelligent students. I'm sure you can put aside personal differences for academic purposes." He turned back to the board. "You'll need to meet outside of class time. I expect documentation of your collaboration process along with the final paper." Across the room, Tyler sat motionless. His face showed nothing. But Lacey beside him whispered something that made him shake his head, jaw tight. After class, Kira waited until the room emptied before approaching Mr. Brennan's desk. "This isn't fair." He didn't look up from his papers. "Life rarely is. You know what he's been doing to me. The rumors, the exclusion, everything. And now you're forcing us to work together. I'm forcing you to complete an academic assignment. What happens outside my classroom isn't my jurisdiction." Finally, he met her eyes. "Miss Bennett, I understand this is difficult. But you're both graduating seniors. You can handle 3 weeks of professional collaboration." "He's not going to collaborate. He's going to sabotage me. Then document it. Keep records of your meetings, your contributions, your communication. If he fails to participate, it will reflect in his grade, not yours." Mr. Brennan softened slightly. "You've written excellent work this semester despite everything. Don't let Tyler Ashford take that from you." Kira left the classroom feeling like she'd been handed a prison sentence. Maya found her at lunch, already knowing. "The universe hates you. Apparently. You have to work with him. For 3 weeks. Meet outside of class, document everything, produce a joint paper. Kira pushed food around her tray. It's designed to torture me. Or it's designed to make you quit. Drop the class, take the failing grade, lose the scholarship. Maya leaned forward. That's what he wants. Don't give it to him. So what do I do? Treat it like business. Meet in public places, keep everything professional, record every conversation if you have to. He tries anything, you have proof. Kira nodded, but her stomach churned. 3 weeks of forced proximity with someone who'd spent the last month trying to destroy her. 3 weeks of documented collaboration with her tormentor, smiling for teachers while he sharpened knives behind her back. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number, but the message was clear. Library after school today. 4 p.m. We need to set meeting times for the project. Tyler. Kira texted back. Fine. See you there. Professional. Distant. Survivable. The afternoon dragged. Kira couldn't focus in chemistry. Nearly burned herself during a lab because her mind was elsewhere. In calculus, she solved problems mechanically, her hands moving while her thoughts spiraled. At 3:55 p.m., she walked to the library with Maya beside her. Want me to stay? Sit at another table, just in case. No. I need to do this alone. Kira squeezed her friend's hand. But thank you. Maya left reluctantly. Kira found a table near the reference section where the librarian, Mrs. Patterson, had clear sight lines. Witnesses mattered now. Everything mattered. Tyler arrived at exactly 4 p.m. He looked different somehow. Tired, maybe. His usual confident swagger had dulled to something more careful. He wore jeans and a plain navy sweater instead of his typical expensive brand names. Small change, but noticeable. Hey, he said quietly, sitting across from her. Hi. Awkward silence stretched between them. The library hummed with other students studying, typing, whispering. Normal teenage life happening around them while they sat in the wreckage of a month's worth of warfare. Tyler pulled out a notebook. So, Gatsby and a Raisin in the Sun comparing the American dream across different perspectives. Rich white man versus poor black family. The assignment isn't subtle. No, it's not. He clicked his pen 3 times, a nervous habit Kira hadn't seen before. Look, I know this is weird. I know you don't want to work with me. But we're stuck together for 3 weeks, so we might as well figure out how to make it work. Professional collaboration only. We meet in public places, we document everything, we split the work evenly, and we don't discuss anything personal. Agreed. I'll handle the Raisin in the Sun analysis. You take Gatsby. We'll combine our research and write alternating sections. That could work. Tyler made notes. We should probably meet twice a week. Tuesdays and Thursdays? Here in the library. Fine. And we'll need to meet at least once outside school to put the final paper together. Mr. Brennan requires proof of in-depth collaboration. Kira's jaw tightened. Where? My house. It's big enough that we can work in the study. Plenty of space. My father's never home anyway. He caught her expression. Or somewhere else. Coffee shop downtown? Wherever you're comfortable. Coffee shop. Public. Neutral ground. Okay. Tyler wrote that down too. When he looked up, something in his face had changed. Less certain. More human. Kira, I want to apologize. Don't. I need to say this. The flowers, the hallway stuff, grabbing your arm that day. I was out of line. Way out of line. I'm sorry. Kira stared at him. You're apologizing now? After a month of making my life hell? After the rumors, the exclusion, the photos plastered around school. What photos? Don't play stupid. The boxing photos with captions about me being violent and dangerous. The flyers that got me called into the dean's office. Tyler's confusion looked genuine. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't make any flyers. But you started the rumors. You turned everyone against me. I stopped talking to you. I told people we didn't get along. That's all. He leaned forward. Kira, I was angry and embarrassed, and I acted like a child about it. But I didn't create flyers or call you dangerous or report you to anyone. That's not my style. Then whose style is it? Tyler was quiet for a moment. Then, reluctantly, probably Lacey's. Or some of the other girls who thought they were defending my honor or whatever. I didn't ask them to, and I didn't know about the photos until after they'd been taken down. You could have stopped them. You're right. I could have. I should have. He ran a hand through his hair. I'm not good at this. At taking responsibility or seeing past my own ego. But I'm trying to be better. This last month has been a wake-up call. Kira wanted to believe him. Part of her, the part that was exhausted from fighting, wanted to accept the apology and move forward. But another part remembered the satisfaction in his eyes when he'd watched her eat lunch alone. Remembered his hand on her arm, his entitlement, his casual cruelty. Tyler, I appreciate the apology. But words are easy. Actions matter. And your actions destroyed my first semester here. I know. Do you? Do you actually understand what it's been like? Walking into school every day knowing people are whispering about me, avoiding me, believing lies about who I am? Having teachers grade me harder because they think I'm aggressive? Worrying that any wrong move might cost me my scholarship? Tyler looked down at his hands. No. I don't understand that. I've never had to worry about losing anything. Exactly. You've never had consequences. So forgive me if I don't trust your apology. That's fair. They worked in silence for the next 40 minutes. Kira outlined her approach to A Raisin in the Sun, focusing on the younger family's struggle against systemic racism and economic barriers. Tyler sketched his analysis of Gatsby's impossible dream and the corruption of wealth. Their ideas were actually compatible. Both texts explored how the American dream failed people, just in different ways. The comparison wrote itself. At 5:30 p.m., Tyler closed his notebook. Same time Thursday? Yes. Kira, one more thing. He hesitated. I know you don't trust me. I get it. But for what it's worth, I really am sorry. Not because we have to work together, but because you were right. About everything. I was entitled and cruel, and you deserved better. Kira studied his face, looking for manipulation, for the performance she'd seen 100 times before. She found something else instead. Shame, maybe. Actual remorse. It didn't change what he'd done. But it was something. Okay, she said quietly. Thank you for saying that. Tyler left first. Kira sat alone for another 10 minutes, processing the conversation, trying to understand what had just happened. Maya appeared from behind the history stacks. I lied. I stayed. Couldn't help myself. Did you hear everything? Enough. He sounded almost human. Maya sat down. Still don't trust him. Me neither. But we have to work together, so I might as well make it bearable. Just be careful. Abusers apologize all the time. Doesn't mean they've changed. Kira knew Maya was right. Knew she should maintain walls, keep her guard up, treat this as purely transactional. But something in Tyler's expression had been different. Real, maybe. Or maybe she was just tired of fighting. Thursday's meeting went smoother. They discussed themes, traded research notes, began outlining the paper's structure. Tyler was prepared, focused, actually listening when she talked instead of waiting for his turn to speak. He asked about her interpretation of Walter Lee's character arc. She asked about his take on Daisy's complicity in Gatsby's death. They disagreed on some points, found common ground on others. It felt almost normal. Your analysis of the younger family's resilience is really insightful, Tyler said at one point. The way you connected their struggle to broader themes of dignity and self-determination. I hadn't thought about it that way. Kira blinked. Thanks. You're a good writer. Better than me, honestly. You're not bad. Your Gatsby interpretation is solid. High praise from someone who got an A on every essay before I ruined your reputation. The bitterness in his voice surprised her. Self-awareness didn't suit Tyler Ashford. It made him seem smaller, more human, less like the villain she'd constructed in her mind. "Why are you being nice?" Kira asked suddenly. Tyler looked up from his notes. "What?" "This. The apology, the collaboration, actually listening to me." "Why now? What changed?" He was quiet for a long time. Students moved around them, the library clock ticked towards 6, and Tyler Ashford, millionaire heir and former tormentor, struggled to find words. "My father called me a disappointment 3 weeks ago," he finally said. "Not because of grades or Yale or anything that actually matters. Because Dean Whitmore told him I was harassing you, and it made our family look bad." Made him look bad. That must have hurt. You'd think. But it didn't. And that's what scared me. Tyler met her eyes. I realized I didn't care what he thought. Didn't care about his approval or his money or his plans for my life. The only thing I cared about was that I'd become exactly like him. Cruel for sport. Powerful for the sake of power. Hurting people because I could. Kira didn't know what to say. "I don't want to be him," Tyler continued. "I don't want to be someone who destroys people for saying no. Someone who thinks money makes them immune to being a decent human being. So I'm trying to change. Probably failing, but trying." "That's a start. Is it enough?" "I don't know yet." Honest answer. Tyler nodded, accepting it. They worked until the library closed at 6. Walked out together into the April evening, spring finally warming Connecticut after a brutal winter. The campus was empty, most students already gone home. "Can I give you a ride?" Tyler offered, then immediately backtracked. "Sorry, that was presumptuous. I just noticed you take the bus, and it's getting dark." "I'm fine." "Right. Of course." He headed toward the parking lot, then stopped. Turned back. "Kira." "Yeah. Thank you for giving me a chance. For not asking to switch partners or drop the class. I know you wanted to." "Still might," she said, but there was no heat in it. Tyler almost smiled. "Fair enough." He drove away in his BMW. Kira walked to the bus stop, her mind churning with confusion and unwanted sympathy and the realization that Tyler Ashford was more complicated than she'd wanted to believe. Hating him had been simple. Understanding him was dangerous. She texted Maya, "I think he might actually be sorry." Maya's response came immediately. "Don't fall for it. Tigers don't change stripes." But riding the bus home through Greenwich's darkening streets, watching expensive houses light up like beacons, Kira wondered if that was true. People changed. Her father had changed from angry street fighter to patient coach. Her mother had changed from grieving widow to fierce survivor. Kira herself had changed from Kingston boxer to Connecticut scholar. Maybe Tyler Ashford could change too. Or maybe she was being naive, and this was just another game he played better than she did. Either way, they had 2.5 more weeks of forced collaboration. 2.5 weeks to discover if his apology meant anything. 2.5 weeks to see if the boy who'd tried to destroy her could become someone worth forgiving. Kira got off at her stop and walked to the small house she still didn't call home, carrying questions heavier than any textbook. While the late April rain poured, the project was going too well. Kira noticed it during their third meeting, watching Tyler explain his interpretation of Gatsby's parties as desperate attempts at belonging. He spoke with genuine passion, his usual performance mask slipping to reveal someone who actually cared about ideas, about meaning, about something beyond his own reflection. "The green light isn't really about Daisy," he said, leaning over their shared notes. "It's about the impossibility of the dream itself. Gatsby spends years building this perfect version of himself, but it's all hollow because it's based on becoming someone he's not. Performing wealth instead of having it," Kira added. "Exactly. He's always on the outside looking in, no matter how big his mansion gets." Tyler paused. "I think Fitzgerald understood that. Being adjacent to wealth but not really part of it. The difference between new money and old money." "There's a difference?" "In their world. Huge difference. Old money thinks new money is vulgar, desperate, trying too hard. New money thinks old money is lazy, inherited, unearned. He caught himself. Not that I'm defending any of it. The whole system is rotten. Kira studied him. You sound like you actually believe that. I'm starting to. They worked in comfortable silence after that, the library's quiet hum surrounding them. Outside, April rain streaked the windows, turning the world gray and soft. Other students came and went, but Kira barely noticed them anymore. She was too focused on the paper taking shape between them, the way their different perspectives created something stronger than either could manage alone. At 5:30, Tyler's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his whole body went tense. Everything okay? Kira asked. My father. He wants me home for dinner. Tyler typed a response, jaw tight. I need to leave soon. We can pick this up Thursday. Actually, I was wondering. He looked up. Are you free Saturday? We could meet at that coffee shop downtown. Spend a few hours really diving into the comparative analysis section. We're running out of library time with the paper due in 2 weeks. Kira hesitated. Library meetings were safe, structured, witnessed. Coffee shop on a Saturday felt different, more personal. But the paper did need work, and Tyler had been nothing but professional for 3 weeks straight. Okay. What time? 10 a.m. Common Grounds on Greenwich Avenue. My treat. I can pay for my own coffee. I know you can, but I'd like to, as an apology for the flowers I wasted. He almost smiled. Please. Fine. 10 a.m. Saturday. Tyler gathered his things quickly, that tension still evident in how he moved. I'll see you then. And Kira? Thank you for working with me on this. The paper's really good. He left before she could respond. Maya appeared from the computer section 5 minutes later. She'd been giving them space during meetings, but still checked in afterward. He left early. Trouble in paradise. His father called. He looked stressed about it. Good. He should be stressed. But Maya's tone was less sharp than usual. I'll admit, he's been surprisingly decent. Still don't trust him, but he's trying. I know. That's what confuses me. Kira packed her own bag. It would be easier if he was still awful. Then I could just hate him and move on. You're not starting to like him, are you? No. Maybe. I don't know. Kira sighed. He's different when we're alone. More real. Less performance. And some of the things he says about his father, about the pressure he's under, I almost feel sorry for him. Rich boy problems aren't real problems. Maybe. But pain is still pain, even when it comes wrapped in money. Maya looked at her seriously. Just be careful. You're starting to see him as human. That's how they get you. Make you sympathize, make you think you're special, make you believe they've changed. Then they revert, and you're trapped. I'm not trapped. We're just working on a paper. On a paper. In coffee shops. On Saturday mornings. Maya raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a date to me. It's not a date. It's academic collaboration. Keep telling yourself that. But riding the bus home, Kira wondered if Maya was right. Wondered when Tyler Ashford had stopped being the enemy and become something more complicated. Wondered if she was being smart or stupid, careful or naive. The rain intensified, turning the bus windows into rivers. Kira watched Greenwich blur past, thinking about green lights and impossible dreams and boys who performed versions of themselves until they forgot who they really were. Saturday morning arrived cold and wet, spring refusing to commit fully. Kira dressed carefully, jeans and a bright yellow sweater her mother had sent from Kingston, hair in a high ponytail. Not trying too hard. Just present. Common Grounds smelled like espresso and pastries. Tyler was already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 coffees and what looked like nervous energy barely contained. Hey, I got you a latte. Hope that's okay. If not, I can get something else. Latte's fine. Kira sat down, setting her laptop and notes on the table. You okay? You seem jumpy. Just tired. Didn't sleep well. He pushed the coffee toward her. Should we start with the comparative analysis section? I outlined some ideas Thursday night. They worked for an hour, building arguments about dreams deferred and dreams corrupted, about who got access to American mythology and who got locked out. The paper was genuinely good now, layered and thoughtful, earning the grade they'd both need. Around 11, Tyler's concentration started fracturing. He'd check his phone, stare out the window, lose his train of thought mid-sentence. Tyler. What's wrong? Nothing. Sorry. I'm distracted. Obviously. Talk to me. He looked at her for a long moment, something warlike happening behind his eyes. Then he said, "Can I show you something? It's not far from here." Show me what? Context. For why I've been so messed up lately. He stood, gathering his things. Please. It'll help you understand. Every warning bell in Kira's head rang at once. Going somewhere alone with Tyler Ashford, away from witnesses and public spaces, violated every rule she'd set. But something in his expression stopped her refusal. Vulnerability, raw and unguarded. Where are we going? My house. But not for anything weird. I promise. There's just something I need you to see. Kira should have said no. Should have insisted they stay at the coffee shop, maintain boundaries, keep this strictly academic. Instead, she heard herself say, "Okay, but I'm texting Maya where I am." Smart. You should. She sent the text with Tyler's address. Maya's response was immediate. Are you insane? Kira typed back, probably. Call police if I'm not back by 2 p.m. Tyler's BMW was parked 2 blocks away. The interior smelled like expensive leather and air freshener. He drove carefully through Greenwich's winding streets, hands tight on the wheel. My father doesn't know you're coming, he said. He's probably at the office anyway. Saturday's a work day for him. Does he ever not work? Christmas. Sometimes. If the deals are slow. Tyler turned onto a private road. My mother left when I was 14. Couldn't handle his control anymore. She calls on my birthday, sends cards at holidays, but that's about it. So it's mostly just him and me in a house too big for 2 people who barely speak. The Ashford estate appeared through the trees, all stone and modern glass and architectural statements about wealth. It looked like something from a magazine spread, beautiful and cold and utterly lifeless. Tyler parked in the circular driveway. He's not here. His car's gone. Inside, the house echoed. Marble floors, tall ceilings, art that probably cost more than Kira's entire education. Everything perfect and untouched and empty as a museum after hours. This way. Tyler led her upstairs, down a hallway lined with family photos that stopped abruptly when he was 14. The last photo showed a younger Tyler with both parents, everyone smiling, everything lies. His room was surprisingly normal. Messy desk, unmade bed, walls covered with concert posters and soccer team photos. The only space in the house that looked lived in. But Tyler walked past his room to a door at the end of the hall. Hesitated with his hand on the knob. This was supposed to be my sister's room. Kira's breath caught. You have a sister? Had. Hannah. She would have been 16 now. Tyler opened the door. The room was frozen in time. Pink walls, stuffed animals, books organized by color. Everything perfect, everything waiting for a girl who would never come back. What happened? Kira asked softly. Tyler walked to the window, looking out over the manicured lawn. She drowned. 10 years ago, when she was 6 and I was 8. We were at our summer house in Cape Cod. There was a pool, and she loved swimming. My parents were fighting inside about something. Always fighting. I was supposed to be watching her. Tyler, you were 8 years old. I know. Everyone says that. The therapists, the grief counselors, all of them. You were just a child. It wasn't your fault. His voice cracked. But I was there. I was her big brother. I was supposed to protect her, and I got distracted by some stupid video game, and when I looked up, she was at the bottom of the pool. Kira stood frozen, watching Tyler fall apart in front of her. They tried everything. CPR, ambulance, hospital. But she'd been under too long. Brain damage, no oxygen gone. He turned to face Kira, tears on his face he didn't bother hiding. My mother left 4 years later because she couldn't stand looking at me and seeing Hannah. My father stayed but turned into a machine, all work and no feeling, because feeling meant remembering what we lost. And you, Kira said quietly. What did you turn into? Someone who controlled everything. Someone who couldn't handle rejection or failure or anything that made me feel powerless, because powerless meant responsible. Meant guilty. Tyler wiped his face roughly. When you kept saying no to me, when you wouldn't let me charm you or manipulate you or win, it broke something open that I'd spent 10 years trying to keep closed. That's why you went after me so hard. Yeah. And that's why I'm trying to change now. Because I finally understood what my father became after Hannah died. What I was becoming. Someone who hurt people to feel powerful, who controlled others because I couldn't control the one thing that mattered. Kira walked to where Tyler stood, this boy who'd tormented her, who'd tried to destroy her, who was currently breaking apart in a dead girl's bedroom. I'm sorry about your sister. I'm sorry about what I did to you. About all of it. He looked at her with red eyes. You asked what changed. This is what changed. I finally let myself feel the guilt instead of burying it under arrogance and cruelty. And once I felt it, I couldn't keep being that person anymore. They stood in silence, surrounded by pink walls and stuffed animals and the ghost of a 6-year-old girl who'd shaped both their lives without ever meeting Kira. My father died last year, Kira heard herself say. Lung cancer. He worked in a factory for 20 years, breathing chemicals so he could afford to train me in boxing. He never complained, never stopped, just kept sacrificing until his body gave out. Tyler listened without interrupting. The scholarship to Ashford was his last gift. He saved every extra penny, worked double shifts, died 3 months before the acceptance letter came. Kira's voice steadied. I promised him I wouldn't fight unless absolutely necessary. Wouldn't throw away this chance he died to give me. That's why I never hit you, even when I wanted to. Even when you deserved it. I did deserve it. You did. But I couldn't. Because keeping that promise was the only way to honor him. She met Tyler's eyes. We're both carrying dead people, aren't we? Trying to make choices they'd be proud of while drowning in guilt and grief. Yeah, we are. Something shifted between them in that moment. Understanding, maybe. Recognition. 2 people shaped by loss, performing versions of themselves to survive the weight. Tyler's phone buzzed, shattering the moment. He glanced at it and went pale. He's on his way home. We need to leave. They hurried downstairs, Tyler moving with sudden urgency. They made it to the car just as another vehicle turned into the driveway, a sleek gray Mercedes that screamed power and money. Get down, Tyler hissed. Kira slid low in her seat. Through the window, she watched a man emerge from the Mercedes, tall and imposing, wearing a suit on Saturday-like armor. Raymond Ashford looked exactly like his son would in 30 years if all the humanity got stripped away. He walked into the house without noticing the BMW parked at an angle, too absorbed in his phone to care about his surroundings. Tyler waited until the door closed, then started the car and drove carefully down the driveway. Only when they reached the main road did he breathe normally again. Sorry about that. He can't know you were there. Why not? Because he specifically told me to stay away from you. Said you were a liability, a problem, beneath our family's concern. Tyler's hands gripped the wheel. If he knew I'd brought you to the house, to Hannah's room, he'd lose his mind. Would he hurt you? Not physically. But there are other ways to hurt someone when you control their entire future. Tyler pulled over near Common Grounds where Kira's bus stop waited. Thank you for coming. For listening. I know it was a lot. It was. But I'm glad you told me. Does it change anything? Between us? Kira considered. I don't know yet. But it helps me understand you better. The cruelty, the control issues, all of it makes more sense now. Sense doesn't excuse it. No. But context matters. She opened the car door, then paused. Tyler, you're not responsible for your sister's death. You were 8. Children can't carry that kind of blame. Tell that to the 8-year-old who still lives in my head. I am telling that to him. And I'm telling the 18-year-old in front of me that he gets to choose who he becomes. Your father's choices aren't yours. Your past doesn't have to be your future. Tyler's eyes filled again. How are you so wise? I'm not wise. I just know what it's like to carry weight that isn't yours. Kira climbed out of the car. See you Thursday. Library, 4 p.m. Thursday, 4 p.m. She watched him drive away, this complicated boy made of guilt and money and desperate attempts at redemption. Then she texted Maya, I'm alive. Long story. Tell you later. On the bus home, Kira thought about Hannah Ashford, 6 years old forever, frozen in a pink room while the world kept turning without her. Thought about her own father, 43 years old forever, frozen in memories and photographs while Kira kept growing. The dead shaped the living in ways the living rarely understood. Tyler's cruelty hadn't been about Kira at all. It had been about a little girl at the bottom of a pool, about guilt too heavy for a child to carry, about a family that shattered and never properly healed. It didn't excuse what he'd done, but it explained it. And somehow, that explanation made everything more complicated. Because hating Tyler Ashford when he was just a villain had been simple. But understanding Tyler Ashford, broken boy in a broken house carrying a broken heart, made hatred impossible. And Kira didn't know what came after hatred ended. Didn't know if forgiveness was possible, or wise, or something she could afford while still protecting herself. All she knew was that Thursday would come, and they'd meet in the library, and the paper would get finished, and somewhere in the process, the lines between enemy and ally had blurred beyond recognition. The paper was nearly finished. Kira read through their combined work on her laptop, impressed despite herself. 22 pages of genuinely insightful analysis, comparing how wealth and race created different barriers to the American dream. Tyler's sections on Gatsby's performative wealth wove perfectly with her analysis of the younger family's systemic exclusion. This is really good, she said during their Thursday meeting. Mr. Brennan's going to love it. We make a decent team. Tyler looked up from proofreading. Who would have thought? Not me 3 weeks ago. Not me either. He closed his laptop. One more meeting should do it. Final edits, bibliography formatting, making sure everything flows. We're actually ahead of schedule. The library hummed around them, filled with other students cramming for finals, stressing about AP exams, counting down the days until graduation. May had arrived with warm sunshine and the feeling of endings approaching. There's something I need to tell you, Tyler said suddenly. About the rumors. The exclusion campaign. I talked to Lacey and some of the others. Kira tensed. And told them to stop. Told them what they did was wrong, and I should have stopped it sooner. Lacey got defensive, said she was just protecting me, but I made it clear. No more whispers, no more lies, no more making your life difficult. What did they say? Lacey called me whipped. Said you'd changed me, made me soft, whatever. Tyler shrugged. But I don't care anymore. Let them think what they want. Kira noticed small changes over the past week. Students who'd been avoiding her started nodding in hallways again. The whispers had quieted. In chemistry, her lab partner had actually initiated conversation about the upcoming final. Thank you, she said, for doing that. It's the least I could do. Literally the bare minimum of human decency. Tyler paused. There's something else. Prom is in 3 weeks. May 24th. Are you going? I wasn't planning to. Because of me. Because of what I did. Partly. Also because prom seems like expensive performative nonsense designed to make poor kids feel worse about themselves. Tyler laughed. Actually laughed, and the sound transformed his face. That's exactly what it is. But it's also the last big event before graduation. Might be worth experiencing, even ironically. Are you asking me to prom? No. God, no. I know better than that. He held up his hands. I'm just saying you shouldn't let what happened keep you from going if you want to. You have every right to be there. I'll think about it. They worked in comfortable silence for another hour. At 6 p.m., when the library announced closing time, they gathered their things slowly, neither quite ready to leave. Walk you to the bus stop? Tyler offered. Okay. Outside, May evening painted everything gold. The campus looked almost beautiful in the fading light, brick buildings warm and welcoming instead of intimidating. Students scattered toward cars and buses and bikes, everyone lighter now that the finish line was visible. Can I ask you something personal? Tyler said as they walked. Depends on the question. Your boxing. Do you miss it? The competing, I mean. Kira considered. Every day. There's nothing like stepping into a ring, all the noise falling away until it's just you and your opponent and the choices you make in real time. It's the only place I've ever felt completely present. Why'd you stop? Just because of the promise to your father. Partly. Also because there's no competitive boxing scene here. Anderson's gym is great for training, but they don't do amateur tournaments. And I can't exactly join the boys' boxing team at Ashford. Why not? Because Ashford doesn't have a boxing team. Too violent for a prestigious prep school. She said it without bitterness, just fact. Rich kids do tennis and lacrosse and crew. Poor kids box. That's messed up. That's reality. They reached the bus stop. Tyler's BMW sat in the parking lot 50 yards away, but he made no move to leave. I have a crazy idea, he said. And you can absolutely say no. But there's a match tomorrow night in Bridgeport. Amateur tournament, multiple weight classes, pretty well known in Connecticut boxing circles. Want to go watch? Kira stared at him. You want to go to a boxing match? I want to understand something you love. And honestly, I'm curious. I've never seen competitive fighting outside of movies. It's brutal, bloody, not polite or pretty. Good. I could use some reality. Tyler met her eyes. What do you say? Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. I'll drive, I'll pay for tickets, and if you hate having me there, we can leave any time. Kira should say no. Should maintain boundaries, keep this relationship strictly academic. Remember that 3 weeks of decent behavior didn't erase a month of cruelty. But the thought of watching live boxing again, of being in that atmosphere of controlled violence and disciplined power, of sharing something real with someone who was trying to understand her world instead of dismiss it made the decision easy. Okay, but I'm paying for my own ticket. Deal. The bus arrived, brakes hissing. Kira climbed on, found a seat by the window. Through the glass, she watched Tyler walk to his car, something light in his step that hadn't been there before. Maya called 30 seconds later. Please tell me you did not just agree to go somewhere with Tyler Ashford. Boxing match in Bridgeport. Tomorrow night. Educational purposes. Educational purposes? Maya's voice climbed an octave. Kira, that's a date. That's literally a date. It's two people with shared academic interests extending their collaboration to extracurricular observation. You sound like a robot. A robot in denial. I'm not in denial. We're friends now. Maybe. Still figuring it out. Friends, Maya repeated skeptically. The boy who tried to destroy you is now your friend. People change. Or they're very good actors. Maya sighed. Just be careful. I don't want to watch you get hurt again. I'm always careful. But riding the bus home, watching Greenwich transform from commercial district to residential paradise, Kira wondered if she was being careful or reckless. Wondered when Tyler had stopped being a project partner and become someone whose company she actually enjoyed. Friday evening arrived warm and clear. Tyler picked her up at 6:30, and Kira climbed into the BMW wearing jeans and a red tank top, her hair loose around her shoulders. Tyler looked different too. Jeans, plain black shirt, none of his usual expensive signaling. He looked younger somehow, more relaxed. Ready? He asked. Let's go. The drive to Bridgeport took 40 minutes. They talked about everything and nothing. Final stress, college plans, music preferences, favorite foods. Easy conversation that flowed without effort. Where are you thinking for college? Tyler asked. UConn, probably. Full scholarship, close enough to visit my mom when she comes to the States. Good pre-law program. Pre-law. You want to be a lawyer? Civil rights attorney. Fight the systems that keep people like my family trapped. Kira looked at him. What about you? Yale because of legacy. Yale because my father decided before I was born. Business school, real estate development, join the family empire. Tyler's voice was flat. But I've been thinking about deferring. Taking a gap year, figuring out what I actually want instead of what's expected. Your father would lose his mind. Probably. But maybe that's not my problem anymore. They reached the Bridgeport Sports Arena at 7:15. The parking lot was packed with trucks and older cars, so different from Ashford Preparatory's luxury vehicle parade. Inside, the crowd was diverse and loud, working-class families and serious fight fans and young boxers watching their future opponents. The arena smelled like sweat and anticipation. Tyler bought tickets while Kira absorbed the atmosphere, feeling more at home than she had in months. This is amazing, Tyler said, eyes wide. The energy here is insane. They found seats 4 rows back from the ring. Around them, people shouted predictions, argued about fighters, passed around programs. Tyler looked completely out of his element and completely fascinated. The first match started. 2 welterweights, 1 black kid from New Haven, 1 white kid from Hartford. They touched gloves and came out swinging. Oh my God, Tyler breathed. They're really hitting each other. That's the point. Kira leaned forward, analyzing technique. Watch the New Haven fighter. See how he keeps his right hand high. That's good defense. But he drops his left after throwing jabs. Someone fast could exploit that. How can you see all that? Practice. When you've fought enough, you learn to read patterns. The match went 3 rounds. The New Haven kid won on points. Good defense overcoming aggressive offense. Tyler watched transfixed, flinching at big hits, shouting encouragement by the end. Between matches, they got water from the concession stand. Tyler insisted on buying, and Kira was too happy to argue. Thank you for bringing me, he said. This is incredible. So raw and real and nothing like my usual world. Your usual world is pretty raw. Just hidden behind expensive clothes. True. Tyler took a drink. But this is honest violence. Consented to, regulated, respected. There's something pure about it. The next match featured a female fighter, a muscular Dominican woman from Bridgeport fighting a taller opponent from Stamford. The crowd roared when she landed a perfect combination, body shot to uppercut that sent her opponent stumbling. That's what I want to do, Kira said quietly. Compete again. Feel that. Why don't you? No opportunities here. No team, no coach who can get me into tournaments, no time to build a record. What if I could help with that? Kira looked at him. What do you mean? Anderson's gym. The owner, he knows people, right? What if I talked to him, asked about getting you into some matches? I could sponsor you, pay entry fees, whatever it takes. Tyler, no. I can't accept your money. It's not charity. It's an investment in someone talented who deserves a chance. He turned to face her fully. You gave up boxing for Ashford. You kept a promise to your father, even though it meant killing part of yourself. Let me help you get it back. Kira felt tears threaten. Why are you doing this? Because you make me want to be better. Use my privilege for something good instead of something cruel. And because watching you talk about boxing, your whole face lights up. Everyone should get to do the thing that makes them light up like that. The arena erupted as the Dominican fighter landed a knockout punch. The crowd surged to its feet, Kira and Tyler with them, cheering for a woman they didn't know who just achieved something beautiful and brutal and entirely earned. In the chaos and noise, Tyler's hand found Kira's. Just for a moment, their fingers intertwined, and neither pulled away. The moment stretched, held. then broke as the referee raised the winner's arm and the crowd settled back into their seats. Tyler let go first, something like regret crossing his face. Sorry. Got caught up in the moment. It's okay. But Kira's hand still tingled where he'd touched her, and her heart beat faster than the boxing explained. They watched 3 more matches, Tyler asking questions, Kira explaining technique and strategy and the art of controlled violence. By the time they left at 10 p.m., Tyler was hoarse from shouting and Kira was grinning so wide her face hurt. The drive home felt different. Charged, somehow. Full of unspoken things neither was ready to name. Thank you, Kira said as they merged onto the highway. That was the best night I've had since moving here. Same. And I mean that. Tyler glanced at her. Can I be honest about something? Always. I'm terrified I'm going to mess this up. Our friendship, or whatever this is. I'm terrified I'll revert to who I was, say something cruel out of habit, hurt you again without meaning to. Then don't. Choose differently. Every day, every moment, choose to be the person you want to be instead of the person you're afraid of becoming. Is it that simple? No. But it's that necessary. They pulled up to Kira's host house at 11. Lights off, Mrs. Peterson already asleep. The street was quiet, suburban peaceful, miles away from the Bridgeport Arena's raw energy. Kira! Tyler killed the engine. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I hurt you badly, and 3 weeks of decent behavior doesn't erase that. But I want you to know that knowing you, working with you, being your friend if you'll let me, it's changed my life. You've changed my life. Kira looked at this boy who'd been her tormentor and was becoming something else entirely. Something complicated and real and worth the risk of believing in. You're not forgiven yet, she said honestly. But you're getting there. Keep choosing right, Tyler. Keep being this version of yourself. I will. I promise. She got out of the car, then leaned back through the window. Same time Tuesday. Library, final paper edits. Tuesday, 4 p.m. Wouldn't miss it. Kira walked to the house, feeling Tyler's eyes on her back. When she reached the door, she turned and waved. He waved back, then drove away into the Connecticut night. Inside, Kira leaned against the closed door, heart racing, mind spinning, everything suddenly more complicated than it had been that morning. She'd gone to a boxing match with Tyler Ashford. She'd held his hand. She'd felt something when he smiled at her. And worst of all, she'd started to care about him. Not despite who he'd been, but because of who he was becoming. Maya was right. This was dangerous territory. But Kira had spent her whole life in rings, facing opponents bigger and stronger and meaner than her. Maybe she could handle one more dangerous fight. Even if this time, the opponent was her own heart. The paper earned them an A+. Mr. Brennan returned it on Tuesday with a note, "Exceptional work. Your collaboration produced insights neither of you would have reached alone. Well done." Tyler grinned at Kira across the classroom. She smiled back, feeling pride and something warmer she wasn't ready to examine. That was a week ago. Before everything shattered. The breaking started small, the way catastrophes always do. On Wednesday, Lacey cornered Tyler in the parking lot after school. Kira was walking to the bus stop when she heard raised voices and detoured to investigate. "You're taking her to prom?" Lacey's voice carried across the lot. "Tyler, are you insane? I'm not taking her. We're going as friends. A group of us." Tyler's tone was defensive. "It's not a big deal. It's a huge deal. Everyone's talking about how she's got you wrapped around her finger. How the scholarship girl played you like a violin. That's not what's happening." "Then what is happening?" "Because from where I'm standing, you've gone from king of this school to her lapdog in 6 weeks." Kira stopped behind a car, hidden but close enough to hear everything. "I'm not her lapdog. We're friends. She's actually decent, unlike most people here." "She humiliated you. Or did you forget the flowers in the trash? The video that went viral?" "I deserved that. I was harassing her. You were interested in her. There's a difference." Lacey's voice turned calculating. Your father called mine yesterday. Asked if the rumors about you and the scholarship girl were true. He's not happy, Tyler. This could affect Yale, affect your future, affect everything. Tyler went quiet. Kira held her breath. I don't care what my father thinks. You should. He controls your trust fund, your college tuition, your entire life. Cross him over some girl you barely know, and you'll lose everything. She's not some girl. She's Kira. And I'm not crossing anyone. I'm just living my life. By making the rest of us look bad? By abandoning the people who've been your friends since freshman year? By choosing her over us? I'm not choosing anyone over anyone. Why does it have to be a choice? Because she doesn't belong here, Tyler. She never will. And the sooner you accept that, the sooner things can go back to normal. Kira had heard enough. She walked away before the conversation could gut her further, before Tyler could respond, before she could learn whether he'd defend her or cave to pressure. The bus ride home blurred. Lacey's words echoed. She doesn't belong here. She never will. Kira knew it was true. Had always known. But hearing it stated so plainly, hearing Tyler's friends treat her like a problem to be solved rather than a person to be known, it scraped something raw inside her. That night, Tyler texted, I'm sorry you heard that. Lacey's wrong about everything. Kira didn't respond. He texted again. Please talk to me. She turned off her phone. Thursday brought worse news. Maya found Kira before first period. Face grim. You need to see this. She handed over her phone. On the screen, an anonymous social media account called Ashford Truth had posted a thread about Kira. Photos from her scholarship application, her financial aid forms somehow leaked and displayed publicly. Her mother's salary. Her father's death certificate. The modest house in Kingston. Every private detail of her life exposed and mocked. The captions were vicious. This is who Tyler Ashford is defending. Gold digger who saw a meal ticket and played it perfectly. Scholarship fraud who probably lied on her application. Diversity hire who doesn't meet Ashford standards. Below each post, comments piled up. Some students defending her, but more joining the attack. Laughing at her poverty, questioning her right to attend Ashford, suggesting she'd seduced Tyler for money. Who did this? Kira's voice shook. Anonymous account. Created yesterday. But look at the information they have. Financial records. Application materials. This came from inside the administration. Someone with access to student files. Or someone whose father donates enough to get access. Maya looked at her seriously. I don't want to believe Tyler did this. But his father has connections to everyone at this school. And Lacey was just threatening him about his future. Tyler wouldn't do this. Are you sure? Because a week ago, you would have said he'd never humiliate you at prom either. Kira's stomach dropped. What are you talking about? Maya showed her another post, this one from a verified student account. A video teaser, prom night surprise for our favorite scholarship student. Don't miss it. May 24th. The post had 300 likes and counting. They're planning something, Maya said. Something public. And either Tyler's part of it, or he knows about it and isn't warning you. He'd warn me. Would he? When his father's threatening his future. When his friends are pressuring him to choose sides. Maya grabbed Kira's shoulders. Don't go to prom. Whatever they're planning, don't give them the chance. But Kira was already walking away, pulling out her phone, calling Tyler's number. He answered on the second ring. Kira, thank God. Did you see the posts? Did you do this? What? No. Of course not. Then who did? Who has access to my financial records? Tyler. I don't know. But I'll find out. I promise. Are you planning something for prom? Silence. Too long. Too damning. Tyler. Are you planning something? Not me. But I heard some of the guys talking. They think it would be funny to, I don't know, do something. A prank or whatever. I told them to drop it. What kind of prank? I don't know the details. I swear. But Kira, don't let them scare you away from prom. You have every right to be there. Do you want me there? Another pause. Yes. Of course I do. Then prove it. Find out what they're planning and stop it. Or I'll assume you're part of it. She hung up before he could respond. The week crawled toward prom night like an execution date. The anonymous posts continued, each one more vicious than the last. Photos of Kira's neighborhood in Kingston, mocking captions about poverty. Screenshots of her mother's nursing license, suggestions she'd bribed someone for the scholarship. Tyler tried to talk to her 3 times. She avoided him each time, watching from a distance as he argued with Trevor and other senior boys, as Lacey whispered in his ear, as the pressure mounted from all sides. On Friday, his father's Mercedes appeared in the school parking lot. Raymond Ashford, tall and imposing, walked into the administrative building with the confidence of someone who owned everything he touched. He left 30 minutes later. Tyler followed, face pale, shoulders hunched. That afternoon, the anonymous account posted one final message. Prom night. Main ballroom. 9 p.m. Special presentation for Kira Bennett. You won't want to miss this. Maya begged her not to go. Anderson, when she told him at the gym, advised the same. Even Mrs. Peterson, her host mother who barely spoke to her, suggested staying home. But Kira thought about her father. About the promise she'd kept for months, swallowing her pride, avoiding fights, taking abuse to honor his sacrifice. She'd kept that promise long enough. If they wanted to humiliate her publicly, fine. But this time, she wouldn't run. This time, she'd face them head-on. And if Tyler Ashford was part of it, she'd face him too. May 24th arrived warm and clear. Kira spent the afternoon at a salon Maya had recommended, letting a stylist work magic on her hair and makeup. She'd bought a dress with the last money from her Kingston savings, a simple but stunning emerald green that hugged her curves and made her skin glow. When she looked in the mirror, she barely recognized herself. This wasn't the exhausted scholarship student or the invisible boxer. This was someone powerful, someone who refused to hide. Maya picked her up at 7 in her brother's car, wearing a gorgeous purple dress. They decided to attend together, united front against whatever waited. You look incredible, Maya said. So do you. Last chance to back out. Not a chance. The Ashford Preparatory Gymnasium had been transformed into something from a magazine. Lights, decorations, a DJ booth with professional equipment. Students in expensive formal wear danced and laughed and performed perfection. Kira and Maya walked in together. Conversations stuttered to silence. Everyone stared. Tyler stood near the refreshment table, wearing a perfectly tailored suit, hairstyled, looking like old money personified. His eyes found Kira across the room, and something complicated passed over his face. Relief, regret, fear. He started toward her. Trevor grabbed his arm, whispered something. Tyler shook him off and kept walking. Kira, you came. Did you think I wouldn't? I hoped you would. You look beautiful. Is it happening? The thing you wouldn't tell me about. Tyler's jaw tightened. I tried to stop it. I swear I tried. But they wouldn't listen, and my father said if I made a scene defending you, he'd cut me off completely. Yale, trust fund, everything. So you chose Yale over doing the right thing. I chose not to make everything worse. I thought if I stayed quiet, let it happen, it would blow over and I could help you deal with the fallout after. Kira felt something crack inside her chest. You thought wrong. At 8:45, Dean Whitmore announced prom court results. 5 couples called to the stage for king and queen voting. Tyler and Lacey were among them, old traditions dying hard. The crowd applauded. Tyler looked miserable in the spotlight, Lacey radiant beside him. At 9 p.m., the music stopped. Before we announce prom king and queen, the DJ said, voice amplified through speakers, we have a special presentation. A tribute to one of our most interesting students this year. The lights dimmed. A projection screen descended behind the stage. Kira's face appeared, 10 feet tall, Then the montage began. Photos from her scholarship application. Her modest Kingston home. Her father's death certificate. Financial documents showing exactly how poor she was, how much aid she received, how charity had bought her seat at Ashford. But that was just the beginning. Someone had edited footage from her boxing matches, slowed down the most violent moments, added captions. This is what we let into our school. Violent. Aggressive. Dangerous. Scholarship fraud who manipulated her way in. The crowd watched in silence. Some looked uncomfortable. Others grinned. On stage, Tyler's face had gone white. He grabbed the microphone from the DJ. Turn it off. Right now. Let it play, Trevor called from the crowd. Everyone should see who they're defending. The video continued. Now it showed screenshots of text messages. Kira's conversations with Tyler, taken out of context to make it look like she'd been pursuing him, manipulating him, using him for money and status. The messages were real but twisted. Thank you for everything became gold digging. I appreciate your help became manipulation. Private words made ugly through selective editing. Kira stood frozen in the center of the ballroom. 400 students watching her life dissected, her privacy shredded, her dignity destroyed for entertainment. And on stage, Tyler Ashford held a microphone with shaking hands, his face a mask of horror, standing beside Lacey who couldn't quite hide her satisfaction. The final image appeared on screen. Kira and Tyler leaving the Bridgeport boxing match, his hand in hers, caught by someone's camera. The caption read, "From scholarship charity to trophy girlfriend. The American dream in action." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Not everyone, but enough. Enough to echo, to burn, to brand this moment into Kira's memory forever. The lights came up. The DJ fumbled with equipment, trying to restart the music. Dean Whitmore pushed through the crowd toward the AV booth. Too late to matter. Tyler jumped off the stage, still holding the microphone. This is wrong. This is cruel and wrong, and whoever did this should be ashamed. You did this, Kira said quietly. But the microphone caught it, amplified it through the speakers. Maybe not directly. But you knew it was coming. You chose not to stop it. You chose them over me. I tried to stop it. I did everything I could. Everything except actually stand up to them. Everything except risk something that mattered to you. Kira felt tears threaten but refused to let them fall. Not here. Not for these people. You're exactly who I thought you were that first day. Rich, entitled, cruel when it's convenient. The last 6 weeks were just a better performance. That's not true. You know that's not true. Do I? Because right now, looking at you on that stage with Lacey, with your friends who just destroyed me for fun, I don't know anything about you except that you're a coward. The word hung in the air like smoke. Tyler stepped closer, voice breaking. Kira, please. Let me explain. You had weeks to explain. You had weeks to warn me, to stop this, to choose differently. You chose this. She looked around the ballroom, at 400 faces watching her pain like reality television. All of you chose this. Then she turned and walked toward the exit. Kira, wait. Tyler followed. Don't go. Stay, and we'll figure this out. I'll make this right. She stopped at the door, turned back one last time. You want to make this right, Tyler? Here's how. And then Kira Bennett, scholarship student and secret boxer, daughter of a champion and keeper of impossible promises, did the thing she'd sworn never to do. She walked back across that ballroom floor, through the crowd that parted like water, straight to where Tyler stood with his microphone and his expensive suit and his useless regret. She grabbed the microphone from his hand. And she spoke truth into the silence. I'm Kira Bennett. I'm here on scholarship because my father died saving money for my education. I'm from Kingston, Jamaica, where being poor doesn't make you less human. I'm a boxer with a record of 23 wins and 2 losses, and I could put half of you on the ground before you finished your first entitled sentence. Her voice rang through the speakers, strong and clear and done with hiding. I came to Ashford because I earned it. Because I worked harder than any of you have worked for anything in your comfortable lives. And yeah, I rejected Tyler Ashford when he asked me out. Not because I was playing hard to get or manipulating him or any of the garbage you've been saying, but because he treated me like a trophy instead of a person. Tyler stood 2 feet away, tears on his face, reaching for her. "Don't touch me," Kira said quietly, and he froze. She turned back to the crowd. "You wanted to see me? Here I am. Poor, black, scholarship student, boxer, everything you tried to use against me. And I'm still standing. I'm still here. And your cruelty says everything about you and nothing about me." Kira dropped the microphone. It hit the floor with a burst of feedback. And then Tyler made his final mistake. He grabbed her wrist, trying to stop her from leaving, trying to make her listen, trying to fix what he'd broken through cowardice. Kira looked down at his hand on her wrist, looked up at his face, saw everything she'd been avoiding for weeks. The entitlement, the belief that he deserved her attention, her forgiveness, her understanding. That he could hurt her and still claim her. Something inside her snapped. The promise she'd kept. The restraint she'd maintained. The good girl trying to honor her father's wish. "I told you once," Kira said softly. "Never put your hands on me again." She twisted, broke his grip with a boxer's precision, and before 400 witnesses, before teachers and administrators and the boy who'd tried to destroy her, she made a choice. Her fist connected with Tyler Ashford's jaw. Not her hardest punch. Not her fastest. Just enough to send him staggering backward, hand flying to his face, shock and pain replacing his pleading expression. The ballroom erupted. Screaming, shouting, chaos. Kira stood in the center of it all, knuckles stinging, heart racing, finally free. The ballroom fractured into chaos. Students rushed forward, some toward Tyler, others pulling out phones to capture the aftermath. Teachers materialized from the periphery, Dean Whitmore's voice cutting through the noise. "Everyone back! Give them space!" Tyler sat on the floor, hand pressed to his jaw, staring up at Kira with eyes that held shock and something else. Understanding, maybe. Or the beginning of it. "You hit me," he said, not quite believing it. "You grabbed me. After everything, you still thought you had the right to put your hands on me. I just wanted you to listen. And I wanted you to respect my boundaries. Looks like we're both disappointed." Mr. Brennan appeared, breathless, trying to assess the situation. "Miss Bennett, my office." "Now." She punched him. Lacey shrieked from somewhere in the crowd. "Did everyone see that? She assaulted Tyler." "He grabbed her first," Maya's voice rang out. "I saw it. He grabbed her wrist. That's not assault. She punched him in the face." Dean Whitmore raised her hands. "Everyone be quiet. Tyler, are you hurt? Do you need medical attention?" Tyler slowly stood, testing his jaw. Blood trickled from his split lip, but nothing seemed broken. He looked at Kira, then at the dean, then at the 400 students recording every moment. "I'm fine," he said quietly. "Miss Bennett, you'll need to come with me. This is a serious matter." "I know." Kira's voice was steady. "I'm ready to face the consequences." She walked toward the exit, head high, Maya falling into step beside her. Behind them, the ballroom erupted in fresh waves of conversation, phones lighting up, the video already spreading across social media. In Dean Whitmore's office, Kira sat in the chair she'd occupied too many times this semester. The dean paced, visibly trying to control her anger. "Do you understand what you've just done? Physically assaulting another student at a school event? This is grounds for immediate expulsion and potential criminal charges. He grabbed me after I told him not to touch me. That's assault too. Grabbing a wrist is not equivalent to punching someone in the face. Why not? Why is his violation of my boundaries less serious than my defense of them?" Dean Whitmore stopped pacing. "Miss Bennett, I understand you've had a difficult year. The adjustment to Ashford, the social challenges, tonight's presentation which was cruel and inappropriate. But violence is never the answer. We have protocols, procedures, ways to address grievances that don't involve your fists. I tried your protocols. I reported harassment. Nothing happened. I asked for a partner change. Denied. I documented everything, kept my head down, followed every rule. Kira's voice hardened. Your protocols protect people like Tyler. They don't protect people like me. A knock on the door interrupted them. Mr. Brennan entered with Tyler, whose jaw was already swelling, lip cleaned but still bleeding. Tyler insisted on speaking before any decisions are made, Mr. Brennan said. Mr. Ashford, you should be with the nurse, Dean Whitmore protested. I'm fine. And I need to say something. Tyler looked at Kira, then at the dean. Don't expel her. Don't press charges. This was my fault. You didn't punch yourself, Mr. Ashford. No, but I created the situation that led to it. The video tonight, the months of harassment before that, grabbing her when she told me not to. All of it was wrong, and she was defending herself. That's very noble, but it doesn't change what happened. Then punish me too. Suspend me, expel me, whatever. But don't make her lose her scholarship over my mistakes. Kira stared at him. Why are you doing this? Because it's the truth. Because I'm done being a coward. Tyler turned back to the dean. And because if you expel Kira for defending herself while the students who created that video face no consequences, everyone will know exactly what Ashford Preparatory values. Dean Whitmore's expression tightened. Are you threatening this institution, Mr. Ashford? I'm stating facts. That video used stolen personal information to humiliate a student. The anonymous account that's been harassing Kira for weeks violated privacy laws. And I'm pretty sure my father's donations don't buy immunity from those violations. Tyler's voice stayed calm. So here's what's going to happen. You'll investigate who created that video. You'll punish them appropriately. And you'll treat this incident for what it was. A student defending her boundaries after months of institutional failure to protect her. The office went silent. Mr. Brennan looked impressed. Dean Whitmore looked like she'd swallowed glass. I'll need to speak with your father, she said finally. Go ahead. He's going to love hearing how his donations enabled harassment and privacy violations. Tyler almost smiled. Should make for an interesting conversation. Dean Whitmore's phone rang. She glanced at it, and her face went pale. It's the district superintendent. Apparently, the video from tonight is already on the news. Channel 8 picked it up. She looked at Kira. You're suspended pending investigation. Both of you. 1 week minimum while we determine appropriate consequences. That's fair, Kira said. Go home. We'll contact your families tomorrow with details. Outside the office, the hallway was empty, most students still at prom or fled home to gossip about the scandal. Tyler walked beside Kira toward the exit, neither speaking until they reached the parking lot. Thank you, Kira said, for what you said in there. It was the least I could do. About 6 weeks too late, but still. Your father's going to destroy you. Probably. But I'm tired of letting him control my choices. Tyler touched his swelling jaw gingerly. You have a hell of a right hook. That wasn't even my hardest punch. Terrifying information. He paused. Kira, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know I failed you tonight and every night before it. But I need you to know something. What? That video, the presentation, I found out the full details 3 hours before prom. Trevor told me they'd planned it for weeks, that Lacey had convinced some administration assistant to leak your files, that my father had actually approved it because he thought publicly humiliating you would end whatever he thought was happening between us. Kira felt sick. Your father knew? He orchestrated it. Thought he was protecting the family reputation by putting you in your place. Tyler's voice broke. I told him I'd expose everything if he went through with it. Told him I'd go to the media, the superintendent, everyone. We screamed at each other for an hour. He said if I defended you publicly, I was choosing poverty over family. That he'd cut me off completely. So you stayed silent. For 3 hours, I stayed silent. Paralyzed by cowardice and fear, and the realization that my entire future was built on his money and approval. Tyler met her eyes. But when I saw you walk in tonight, so beautiful and brave and refusing to hide. I knew I had to choose. And I chose wrong. I chose silence when I should have chosen you. You can't choose me, Tyler. I'm not a choice between options. I'm a person who deserves better than what you gave me. You're right. You do deserve better. You deserve someone who stands up for you immediately, who doesn't need 3 hours to remember basic human decency, who never makes you question whether you matter. Maya's brother's car pulled up, Maya in the passenger seat. She rolled down the window. Kira, let's go. You've had enough for one night. Kira nodded, but Tyler stepped closer. Wait, please. Tyler, we're done. We tried friendship, and it ended with me punching you at prom. That's not a foundation for anything. I know. But let me say this, and then I'll leave you alone forever if that's what you want. He took a breath. You were right about everything. About me being entitled and cruel and using people as props in my own story. About me needing consequences and respect and actual change instead of just apologies. These last 6 weeks, working with you, talking to you, learning to see past my own reflection, it woke something up in me. Tyler, I can't be your moral awakening. I can't be the black girl who teaches the white boy how to be a decent human. That's not my job. You're right. That's not your job. It's mine. And I failed at it. Tyler's voice steadied. But I want you to know that knowing you changed me. Permanently. Whether we ever speak again or not, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of the patience you showed me, the chances you gave me, the friendship I threw away. Kira felt tears threaten. Why couldn't you have fought for me? When it mattered, when everyone was watching, why couldn't you just stand up and fight? Because I'm not brave like you. I've never had to be. My whole life, someone else fought my battles, cleared my path, made things easy. Tyler's own tears fell freely now. But you're right. I should have fought. I should have grabbed that microphone before the video started, should have exposed my father's plan, should have chosen what was right over what was comfortable. But you didn't. No. I didn't. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Maya honked the horn. Kira, seriously. Let's go. Kira looked at Tyler one last time, this boy who'd hurt her and changed and hurt her again, this complicated mess of privilege and pain who'd been her tormentor and her friend and finally, inevitably, her disappointment. Goodbye, Tyler. Wait. One more thing. The boxing. Anderson called me yesterday. There's a tournament in 3 weeks. June 14th. Youth Division, your weight class. He said if you're interested, he'll register you. I already paid the fees. You can't buy your way out of this. I'm not trying to. The fees are paid whether you compete or not. But you deserve a chance to get back in the ring. To do the thing you love. Whether I'm there to see it or not. Tyler stepped back. That's all. I'll go now. He walked to his BMW, climbed in, sat for a moment with his head against the steering wheel. Then he drove away, taillights disappearing into the Connecticut night. Kira got into Maya's brother's car. Maya turned around from the front seat, face full of concern. You okay? No. But I will be. They drove through Greenwich's quiet streets, past the mansions and manicured lawns and invisible lines that separated worlds. Kira's phone buzzed constantly with texts and calls, social media exploding with videos and commentary, her private pain now public entertainment. She turned off the phone. At the host house, Mrs. Peterson was waiting, having seen the news. The school called. You're suspended for a week. We need to talk about whether this housing arrangement can continue. I understand. But not tonight. Tonight, you should rest. We'll figure out the details tomorrow. Kira nodded, too exhausted to process another threat to her stability. She went to her small room, closed the door, and finally let herself break. The tears came hard and fast, months of restraint and pain and loneliness pouring out. She cried for her father, who died believing his sacrifice would buy her a better future. Cried for herself, trying so hard to be good in a system designed to break her. Cried for the impossible choice between dignity and survival, between fighting back and keeping promises. And maybe, just a little, she cried for Tyler. For the friendship that almost was. For the boy beneath the privilege who'd been drowning just like her. For the possibility of connection destroyed by cowardice and circumstance. Her phone, still off, held dozens of messages she'd eventually have to face. News stories. Social media commentary. The video of her punch, already viral, already being debated by strangers who'd never met her but felt entitled to judge. Tomorrow, she'd deal with consequences. The suspension hearing, the possible expulsion, the scholarship review, the choice of whether to stay at Ashford or return to Kingston defeated. Tomorrow, she'd be strong again. Tonight, she was just a 17-year-old girl who'd lost her father, lost her home, lost her footing, and finally, explosively, lost her patience with a world that demanded her silence. Tonight, she let herself be broken. Because tomorrow, she'd have to decide whether to stay broken or rebuild into something harder, sharper, impossible to break again. And that decision, unlike everything else tonight, would be entirely hers. 3 weeks later, the investigation took 9 days. Dean Whitmore's office interviewed 40 students, reviewed security footage, subpoenaed the anonymous social media account. The trail led exactly where Kira knew it would. Lacey Park, with assistance from Trevor Grant and a junior named Camden whose mother worked in administration and had access to student files. Tyler's father had known about the plan. Text messages confirmed it. But Raymond Ashford claimed no direct involvement, just passive awareness, and his lawyers made sure nothing stuck. Lacey was expelled. Trevor suspended for the remainder of the semester, losing his spot on the lacrosse team and his early admission to Princeton. Camden's mother was fired. Tyler was suspended for 2 weeks for failure to report planned harassment. His father's donations couldn't erase the video of him standing silent while Kira was humiliated, or the recorded argument where he'd chosen comfort over courage. Kira was suspended for 1 week for inappropriate physical response to provocation. The school board debated expulsion, but Mr. Brennan testified on her behalf. So did 15 other students who'd witnessed Tyler grab her wrist. So did Anderson, who drove up from Bridgeport to explain defensive instinct in trained fighters. And so did Tyler, who spent 3 hours in the superintendent's office detailing every moment of harassment, every failure of institutional protection, every reason Kira had been justified in defending herself. His testimony saved her scholarship. It also cost him Yale. The news broke on June 1st. Yale admissions had seen the viral video, investigated the circumstances, and quietly rescinded Tyler Ashford's legacy acceptance. The official reasons cited concerns about character and judgment inconsistent with university values. Raymond Ashford responded by cutting Tyler off completely. Trust fund frozen, college fund withheld, kicked out of the family home. At 18, Tyler Ashford went from millionaire heir to functionally homeless in 72 hours. Maya told Kira all this secondhand. Tyler and Kira hadn't spoken since prom night, maintaining careful distance during the investigation and its aftermath. But Kira thought about him constantly, wondered where he was living, how he was surviving, whether he regretted his choices or just their consequences. She got her answer on June 7th, 1 week before the boxing tournament. Coach Anderson called her into his office after practice. "Got something to show you." He led her to the gym's small equipment room, where Tyler sat on a bench wrapping hand wraps, wearing gym clothes that looked borrowed and too big. "What is he doing here?" Kira asked. "Working. I hired him last week. Cleaning, equipment maintenance, assisting with junior classes. He's living in the apartment upstairs, the one I used to rent out." Tyler stood, awkward, uncertain. He looked different. Thinner, tired, but somehow more solid, more real. "Hey," he said quietly. "Hey." "I'll leave you two alone," Anderson said, exiting and closing the door. Silence stretched between them, 3 weeks of absence filling the small room like smoke. "You're working here," Kira said finally. "Anderson offered me a job and a place to stay after my father kicked me out. Said I reminded him of his nephew who needed a second chance once." Tyler managed a small smile. "Turns out I'm decent at mopping floors and teaching 8-year-olds how to wrap their hands." "Yale rescinded your acceptance." "Yeah. Saw that on the news along with everyone else." He didn't sound bitter. Probably for the best. I had no business going there anyway. Didn't earn it, didn't want it, only applied because my father demanded it. What will you do instead? Work here. Save money. Maybe take classes at community college in the fall. Figure out what I actually want to study instead of what's expected. Tyler looked at her directly. And stay far away from you unless you decide otherwise. I know I don't deserve forgiveness or friendship or anything from you. But I needed you to know I meant what I said that night. You changed my life. For the better. Even if it had to blow up first. Kira studied him, looking for performance, for manipulation, for the entitled boy who'd made her life hell. She found only exhaustion and honesty and something that looked like peace. The tournament is in a week, she said. I know. Anderson told me. Are you competing? Yes. Welterweight division, for scheduled matches if I keep winning. That's amazing. You must be excited. Terrified. Mostly. I haven't competed in over a year. Don't know if I still have it. You have it. I've watched you train. You're incredible. Kira blinked. You've watched me train? From the office. Through the window. Not in a creepy way, Tyler added quickly. Anderson knows. He said I could observe as part of learning gym operations. But honestly, I just wanted to see you doing what you love. Wanted to see you powerful and free and completely yourself. Something in Kira's chest loosened. Will you be there? At the tournament? Do you want me there? I don't know yet, but I think maybe yes. Tyler's face transformed. Hope, fragile and new, replacing the careful neutrality. Then I'll be there. Front row if you want. Back corner if you prefer. Whatever you need. Front row, Kira decided. If I'm going to do this, I want people I care about watching. People you care about, Tyler repeated softly. Does that include me? I'm still figuring that out. But you did the right thing during the investigation. You lost everything to tell the truth. That matters. It was the least I could do. No. It was exactly enough. Kira moved toward the door, then stopped. Tyler. Thank you. For the testimony, for paying the tournament fees, for finally choosing right even when it cost you everything. Choosing right should never have been a question. I'm just sorry it took me so long to figure that out. June 14th arrived humid and hot, summer asserting itself across Connecticut. The tournament was held at a different arena than the one they'd visited in April, this one in New Haven, bigger and more official. Kira arrived at noon with Anderson, Maya, and Mrs. Peterson, who'd surprised everyone by offering to drive and bringing a homemade banner that read, Go Kira, in glittery letters. The weigh-in confirmed her welterweight status. Her first opponent was a girl from Hartford, experienced and confident. The second, if she won, would be a New Haven fighter with a record of 18-3. In the locker room, Kira wrapped her hands with ritual precision, each loop and twist a meditation. Her father's voice echoed in memory. The fight's won before you step in the ring, baby girl. Won in training, in preparation, in the choice to show up brave. She'd shown up. That was something. 5 minutes, a tournament official called. Kira walked to the arena entrance, Anderson beside her, offering last-minute advice about her opponent's tendency to drop her right hand after combinations. The crowd roared. Hundreds of people, maybe 1,000, filling seats around the elevated ring. Kira scanned faces, looking for the people who mattered. Maya, front row, holding the ridiculous banner. Mrs. Peterson beside her, nervous but present. And Tyler, 3 seats down, wearing a plain blue shirt and the most genuine smile Kira had ever seen on his face. Their eyes met across the distance. He didn't wave or shout, just pressed his hand to his heart, then pointed at her. I see you. I'm here. Kira nodded once. Climbed through the ropes into the ring. Her opponent was good. Fast hands, solid defense, clear training. They touched gloves, and the bell rang. Kira slipped the first jab, countered with a body shot that landed clean. Her opponent circled, testing range, throwing combinations that Kira blocked or evaded. The crowd noise faded. The world narrowed to breathing and movement and the perfect clarity of violence with rules. Round 1 went to Kira on points. Round 2 was closer, her opponent adjusting strategy, finding openings. Round 3 would decide it. The bell rang. They came together in the center, trading punches, neither giving ground. Kira saw the opening Anderson had mentioned, the dropped right hand after a combination. She waited for it, patient as stone. There. The opponent threw a jab crosshook sequence, dropped her right hand coming back to guard. Kira's overhand right crashed through the gap, connecting with her opponent's jaw with every pound of training in grief and survival she'd carried for a year. The girl went down. Not out, but down. The referee counted. She rose at 7, wobbly, game but hurt. The referee waved Kira in. She threw a final combination, clinical and clean, and the referee stopped the fight. TKO. Round 3. Winner, Kira Bennett. The crowd erupted. Kira stood in the center of the ring, arm raised by the referee, feeling something she hadn't felt since her father died. She won her second match by decision. Her third by split decision after a war that left both fighters exhausted and bleeding. By the time the finals arrived at 8 p.m., Kira was running on adrenaline and will. Her opponent was a girl from Stamford, undefeated, built like a tank, with a style based on pressure and power. She's going to come forward hard, Anderson said between rounds. Don't meet force with force. Use your speed, your footwork. Make her miss, make her tired, then take her apart in the later rounds. Kira nodded, barely hearing. Her body ached. Her hands throbbed inside the gloves. Her father's death certificate flashed in her mind, displayed on a projection screen for entertainment. She used the anger. The first round was brutal. The Stamford fighter pushed forward constantly, throwing heavy shots that Kira slipped or blocked. By the bell, Kira's arms felt like lead. Round 2 was worse. The girl caught her with a right hand that rattled her teeth, followed by a combination to the body that drove the air from her lungs. Kira clinched, buying time, hearing the referee's warning about holding. In the corner, Anderson's voice cut through the fog. You're better than this. Faster, smarter, tougher. Stop fighting her fight. Make her fight yours. Round 3. Kira changed tactics. Stopped trying to trade. Started moving. Circle left, jab, move. Circle right, double jab, move. Making the Stamford girl chase, miss, waste energy. By round 4, the strategy was working. The girl's punches came slower, her footwork heavy. Kira picked her shots, body shots that accumulated damage, straight rights that snapped her head back. Round 5. Championship round. Winner takes all. Kira found rhythm. Jab to the body, right hand upstairs. Hook to the ribs, uppercut when the girl ducked. Everything her father taught her, every hour in Kingston gyms, every sacrifice and choice and promise kept or broken. The final bell rang. Both fighters embraced, exhausted, respectful. The judges deliberated. Kira stood in her corner, Anderson beside her, waiting for a decision that would either validate everything or confirm that she'd lost more than she'd gained. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed. After 5 rounds, we have a decision. The judges score this bout 48-47, 49-46, and 47-48. Kira's heart stopped. Your winner, by split decision and new welterweight champion, from Kingston, Jamaica and Greenwich, Connecticut, Kira Bennett. The arena exploded. Maya screaming, Mrs. Peterson crying, Anderson lifting Kira's arm high while the referee fastened a championship belt around her waist. And in the front row, Tyler Ashford stood with tears streaming down his face, applauding until his hands must have hurt, looking at Kira like she'd hung the moon. After the award ceremony, after photos and interviews and congratulations from fighters and coaches, Kira found her people in the arena lobby. Maya hugged her so hard her ribs ached. You did it. You actually did it. We did it. You kept me sane through everything. Mrs. Peterson handed her a bottle of water. I've never watched boxing before. That was terrifying and amazing. Thank you for coming. For everything. Tyler hung back, letting others have their moment. When the crowd thinned, he approached carefully. "Congratulations, champ. That was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Thank you for being here. Wouldn't have missed it for anything." He paused. "Can I ask you something?" "Always. The promise to your father. About not fighting unless absolutely necessary. Did you break it tonight, or keep it?" Kira looked down at the championship belt, gold and heavy and earned through blood and sweat and absolute necessity. "I think I finally understood it," she said. "He didn't want me to avoid fighting. He wanted me to choose my battles. To know the difference between defending myself and destroying myself." She met Tyler's eyes. Prom was necessary. This was necessary. Everything in between was me learning which fights matter. "And do I matter?" Tyler asked quietly. "Is there a fight here worth having, or should I let you go?" Kira considered. This boy who'd hurt her and changed and lost everything choosing to be better. This complicated, privileged, broken person who'd become somehow essential to her story. "I don't know if we're a romance," she said honestly. "I don't know if we can be after everything that happened. But I know we're something. Friends, maybe. Or people who changed each other. And that matters." "Friends," Tyler repeated, like the word was precious. "I can work with friends." "Good. Because I'm competing again in August. Another tournament, bigger prize money. And I'll need people in my corner. I'll be there. Front row. Always." They walked out of the arena together, Kira with her championship belt and Tyler with his redemption arc, Maya and Mrs. Peterson trailing behind, into the warm June night that smelled like summer and possibility. 3 months ago, Kira had walked through Ashford preparatory skates carrying grief and promises and the weight of impossible expectations. She'd survived harassment, humiliation, institutional failure, and her own breaking point. She'd lost her temper, kept her scholarship, and found her power. And maybe, just maybe, she'd found something else too. Not love, not yet, too soon and too complicated for that word. But the beginning of it, the possibility of it. 2 people learning to see each other past privilege and pain, past mistakes and masks, choosing kindness when cruelty was easier. "What happens now?" Tyler asked as they reached the parking lot. "Now I graduate. Start at UConn in the fall. Keep boxing. Keep fighting for the things that matter. And us. We figure it out. Slowly. Carefully. No grand gestures or dramatic declarations. Just showing up, being honest, choosing right every single day until it becomes natural instead of difficult." Tyler smiled, the real one that transformed his face. "I can do that." "Good. Because I'm done with people who can't." 6 weeks later, Kira walked across the stage at Ashford Preparatory's graduation ceremony. She wore her cap and gown with pride, her championship belt hidden underneath, her father's photo in her pocket. The crowd applauded. Dean Whitmore handed her the diploma with a tight smile. Mr. Brennan gave her a genuine hug. And in the audience, her mother who'd flown in from Kingston sat beside Mrs. Peterson, both crying proud tears. Maya cheered loud enough to embarrass them both. Tyler sat 3 rows back, wearing the same plain clothes he'd worn to the tournament, holding a single sunflower instead of an expensive bouquet. After the ceremony, he found her on the lawn where families gathered for photos. "Congratulations, graduate." "Thank you." Kira took the sunflower. "Why a sunflower?" "Because you told me once that your father grew them in Kingston. That they meant home to you. Thought you might want to carry a piece of home today." Kira felt tears threaten. "You remembered that?" "I remember everything you've ever told me. Every story, every detail, every moment you let me see the real you." Tyler stepped closer. "I know we're taking things slow. I know I'm still earning your trust every day. But I need to tell you something." "What?" "I'm falling in love with you. Have been since the boxing match, probably before that. And I know it's too soon to say it, that you might not feel the same, that we have a complicated history and an uncertain future. But I needed you to know. Because you taught me that honesty matters more than timing." Kira looked at this boy who'd been her tormentor and her project partner and her almost destroyer and her unexpected champion. This person who'd lost everything to become someone worth knowing. Tyler Ashford, I'm not in love with you yet. But I think I could be. Given time and consistency and proof that this version of you is permanent. She smiled. So keep showing up. Keep choosing right. Keep being the person who drives to Bridgeport for boxing matches and learns to wrap hand wraps and remembers sunflowers. I will. Every day. For as long as you'll let me. Then maybe by the time I graduate college, we'll know if this is real or just shared trauma making us feel connected. 4 years to earn your love. Sounds like a fair timeline. Better get started then. Tyler laughed, and Kira kissed his cheek, gentle and quick and full of possibility. Around them, Ashford preparatory graduates celebrated endings and beginnings, futures paved with privilege or earned through struggle. The sun shone warm on manicured lawns. Families took photos. The world kept turning, complicated and cruel and occasionally, miraculously kind. Kira Bennett, daughter of champions, keeper of promises, defender of boundaries, stood in the center of it all with a diploma in one hand and a sunflower in the other, her mother's arms around her, her future wide open, her heart cautiously, carefully, beginning to heal. She'd survived Ashford Preparatory. More than survived. She'd conquered it. And the boy who'd tried to break her had become the first person she chose to let in after she'd rebuilt herself stronger. Not a fairy tale. Not a simple redemption arc. Just two people learning that love at last means seeing each other fully, accepting the damage, and choosing connection anyway. That was enough. That was everything. That was victory. Thank you for staying with me until the very end of this incredible journey. If this story moved you or if it touched your heart, hit that like and subscribe button. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that survival is possible, that standing up for yourself matters, and that sometimes the people who hurt us can become the people who help us heal. Also, share your thoughts in the comments section. We love hearing from you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing. Meanwhile, don't go anywhere yet. Click on the video showing on your screen to dive into another amazing story that will absolutely blow your mind. Trust me, you won't regret it. Until next time.